Welcome back to MSI 2019. I am Clayton Captain Flowers Reigns here with Isaac Azale Cummings Bentley and Chris Papa Smithy Smith to bring you all through the last half of the day here on day number 4. Gentlemen, are we ready for some League of Legends?
I'm feeling hyped. This is going to be an interesting last set of games. I feel like some of the results right now, before the games have started, seem straightforward, but the methodology and the fact that group stage always sends those curveballs leave you wondering what we might be ready for.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you've got to point out this is not the Flash Wolves from the first day. They have been getting better. They have been getting more competitive. They turned in 2 fairly competitive games against G2. They took down TL. They took down Fengvu, and they do seem to be playing better League of Legends in these last couple days.
And honestly, what you hope by this point in a tournament is the team knows where their bread is buttered. Who should we play through? What is our strategy that will work today? Not what worked at playoffs, not what worked in the regular season, but what strategy will work against this motley crew of the best teams in the world, and getting behind Betty and the team fight style, the bread and butter of the Flash Wolves in their better games.
And talking about the best teams in the world, you're looking at the team who was known as the best for so long. We heard from Faker at the beginning of this tournament how he wanted to bring Korea back from that disappointment of last year, and SKT has 2 games in front of them that a lot of people are looking at as very, very winnable.
And sadly, that disappointment for SKT fans, especially those longtime fans, is likely to persist after today because they don't actually get to change the ledger against the big favorites of this tournament. Invictus Gaming, they will be playing them tomorrow. They've already played G2 twice. So right now, fans are looking for much more than just a 2-0. I think there needs to be high expectations today. What can SKT show to make this MSI 2019 not just about China versus Europe?
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels like when you're going into these games for SKT, the only result is the same or disappointment, right? If you do turn into poor games here, people are going to be even more worried about their chances against IG and G2, so they certainly want to be showing extremely clean games. Speaking of a positive note, certainly for SKT, though, I'm looking at Clid. I think that Clid has been so strong for SKT, not only in their wins, but even in those losses. Even when they were getting devastated in 16 minutes from IG, he still was turning in some solid performances.
How many tournaments where a team is 3-3 can a player be kind of consensus top 2 performer at the tournament? Feels like Rookie and Clid have been kind of the runaway stories. And yes, other great people have certainly cropped up and had big games. But like you're mentioning, Azale, 3-3, and yet Clid, 5 out of 6 games kind of taken over the jungle and bent it to his will.
And we can't forget the history of the matchup between these two teams either. Flash Wolves and SKT have met each other so many times on the international stage, so frequently the representatives of their regions, and this is going to be yet another chapter in that book of battles between Korea and the LMS.
But the surreal thing is, the names that have represented them as Flash Wolves and as SKT have been minimal. It's Faker, of course, on that side. Yes, other players have gone international, but not under that banner. And then, of course, Hanabi and Betty returning on the side of the Flash Wolves as well. So a lot has changed through all of this, and yet here we are. It's a best of 1. The Flash Wolves not without a chance of making top 4 if they can take off SKT, who right now don't have the halo effect of an IG or 2, a similar extent to G2. That would really help their chances as well.
It certainly would, and not only that, but it kind of blows the tournament, expectations completely apart. You then have 3 teams sitting at that 3-win mark, and all of a sudden, if SKT were to drop a game here, they are no longer, a given to actually lock into that semifinal, to lock into that top 4, which would be such a huge blow, I think, to this team and honestly to the LCK, who are really hungry for a huge international tournament result after a year of disappointment last year.
Well, it's about time to figure out exactly how they're going to go about doing it. You can see the trophy that everybody's got on their minds in front of you as we hop into Champion Select. Let's see how the teams are going to go about this one, as the Flash Wolves will start off targeting solo lane power there with the Jace, and the immediate ban from SKT is the Rek'Sai.
And in case you can't pick apart the previous time these two teams met in your mind, that was the Rumble mid-game played by Radha, trying something very, very tricky in that game. Ended up being a pretty standard victory for SKT. I remember Teddy having a big laning phase on the Callista as well. So those are kind of the pieces that are out there. See where the adaptations are. This time, of course, Flash Wolves will be on the blue side.
Yeah, pretty interesting to note, not only is it actually a focus on the flex picks, it is actually a focus on the AD flex picks. So perhaps trying to force SKT's hand as far as taking more of an AP-heavy composition. I think that can be a good strategy, especially if you're looking towards something along the lines of a tank. If you want to play, that sort of style, something along the lines of a Cho'Gath even, it can be pretty effective effective.
And I actually love this. I want to get to this point. The point I was going to get to is the reason why Jace is seen as kind of this super high tier flex pick is because he's an AD flex pick. So you think about what you want to pair with that, a magic damage jungler. The physical damage jungler now of Lee Sin has been banned away, so right now you're in a spot where a lot of Clid's comfort, if you do go Elise, is probably going to be with multiple AP laners.
All right, the first round of the bans are done half and half towards solo lanes and junglers, as those last two bans will be the Lee and the Jarvan, and it's up to Flash Wolves to go for the first pick.
Yeah, with Jarvan, Lee, Rek'Sai, as well as the two strongest AD flex picks all off the table, you are left with so many fewer options. Things like Olaf do start to kind of rise to the forefront. You know, riskier options along the lines of the Xin Zhao can be brought out also. Boogie certainly has played it very effectively against Team Liquid as well.
The tournament meta champions, even Sejuani, I guess you would throw in there, but there's also the hope of the extended bench, kind of the B tier junglers that just have been outclassed by locking in a first round high tier jungler. But focusing on the picks, it was that first pick, Akali. It's been kind of Hanabi's champion every time they've played it, and the Sylas, that is a real flex opportunity for SKT.
There's so many flex picks so far this tournament. Even if some of them are targeted in the bans, the others will still find their way in. Both teams placing priority there. The Galio also locked in for the side of SKT, and there's that Xin Zhao that you guys just mentioned, talking about the jungle pool getting pinched. That's picked up alongside the Orianna for Flash Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. There's not a lot of those high tier, physical damage options left on the table right now. I am going to be very interested to see if SKT does feel that they do need to go to something along the lines of that Olaf. They are going to grab the Kalista, which was what they played last time around against the Flash Wolves. Teddy had a great game on that, as you pointed out earlier, Papa Smithy, and we'll see if SKT wants to go for a physical damage mid or top, or if they're going to put it in the jungle.
And in the mid-tier point of the spring season, it feels like there's always cycles of duo lanes that are considered the god tier. And there was a 2-week period in Korea where every team was falling over to try to get a lane like Kalista Galio. It plays to the strengths here, provides some engage. Now, Mada's been a bit shaky, and Galio, you make a wrong move. We even saw Mickey overextend on the Galio at level 1 and kind of leave perks to the whim of the enemy. This duo, played to its most aggressive possibility, can just snowball straight through a laning phase.
It definitely can, and anytime you have the Galio, you want to have secondary engage, ways to be able to actually bring him into the fight. I do think Nocturne could be another option here for SKT if they want to look towards a more heavily engage-focused composition that does fix some of their damage problems if they want to bring in a physical damage jungler here also.
Looking at the second round of the bans now, as those first 3 picks are locked in for each side, it will be some support focus from the side of SKT, getting rid of the Braum and the Nautilus, two of those powerful melee supports to go up against the Galio. Flash Wolves banning out the LeBlanc. They want to keep that out of the hands of Faker, keep Rather's Orianna safe from that.
The Nautilus especially, anything that can make a Kalista accountable is something you don't want to deal with. You want her red setting through a team fight, so it makes perfect sense to go down that route. They seem happy enough for Tahm Kench to be a selection on the blue side here. Final ban gonna be the Kennen, so very interesting to see a secondary soul laner and also the jungle pick. And if it's gonna be a spicy jungle pick, maybe it lasts all the way to final pick.
Yeah, certainly possible. And another thing I'm always going to be looking at anytime Sylas gets locked in is ultimates to steal. Already there are 3 fantastic ones to take with Orianna, with the Akali, even the Xin Zhao ultimate can be very effective. We're actually going to get the Vi, which is super hype. I didn't even go down the tier list of this because so few people have been playing it in competitive. Kobe, I know, is going to be popping off
Kobe
seeing
and
this
Dash
getting
are
locked
both
in.
Through the roof about this one. Vi locked in for Clid, as Flash Wolves will, unsurprisingly, take that Tahm Kench, and they'll pair it with the Varus that we see work so often with this champion.
Yeah, it's such an incredibly strong bottom lane, and I do think Tahm Kench, as an answer to the Vi especially, is very, very powerful. Azir going to be grabbed up here for SKT, though, and that has kind of been what Faker has been going towards mostly. Scaling mid laners, Azir, Corki, things along these lines. He has been, that late game insurance for SKT. I'm so excited to see how well this Vi is going to work out, though. Vi alongside the Galio is very powerful engage. You do kind of have that secondary follow-up here from the Sylas also, and it'll be interesting to see if they can actually pull it off.
The SKT comp just bridges really, really well. Like you say, Azir's there for the late game. The level 1, you'd give Sylas and the ability to brawl on the top side, and then, of course, Kalista and Galio can just kind of take over a mid game. So it bridges well from early to mid to late. And then level 6, of course, is the number that we always wait for with Vi. 2 games from Ananasik during the play-in stage on this champion. Actually, Cuz played against SKT in the semifinals of the LCK. A smattering of Vi, but it's still one that we jump up and down about because it's one of those newer picks and it can be just so fiery.
Yeah, it's so exciting to watch. And Ananasik did actually have some 1v9 games on the Vi. He was popping off in the play-ins.
Plenty of fun picks to see here this time around. Some that we've seen quite a few times, some a bit more rare. Either way, it should be an exciting match between Korea and LMS here yet again. Flash Wolves and SKT. Tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme, and Flash Wolves would love to find themselves that 3rd win here. As you already mentioned, that could really throw the bottom half of the standings into upheaval if they do. But SKT, you best believe, will do everything in their power to stop it.
They certainly will, and we'll see if they're going to be able to pull this one off.
On to Summoner's Rift we go as we check in on what everybody's running as everybody runs out of those bases. It is the Aftershock on Vi, pretty popular these days, makes her very tanky as she goes in for the initiations. You are going to see Summoner's Spellbook there on Rather's Orianna as well.
Yeah, pretty interesting to also see Boogie running the Conqueror here on Xin Zhao. A lot of people had been going with Hail of Blades for that kind of instant knock-up, and SKT
Down the bot lane.
Betty could be in some trouble here. Khan tries to go for the stun, not going to find it, but that is a flash expended level 1 on a very immobile target.
And I love top laners making tricky plays like this. You think of top lane Sion trying to camp the forward brush for the duo lane to walk into. You've got that level 1 where you can acquire a pick with the E there coming through from Khan, so they get a flash already. The 2v2 here is one where Betty just wants to push in, and from level 2, Varus Tahm Kench is probably the strongest duo lane around. Only level 1, when you can't skill Devour and also have some lane presence, does Varus Tahm Kench have some issues.
You do certainly have to be a lot more nervous about trying to heavily push, though, when you're on the side of Betty, and there is now no flash on this marksman. There is, you know, a Vi with the potential of a flash gank. There's the potential of a flash taunt, and yes, there is Tahm Kench to actually bring you some of that safety, but still, you know, if Klid is able to get down there, I do think that's something they can punish.
So one thing that we could tell just from the champions here is that because of that level 1 discrepancy on the blue side, brawling at the minion wave as the minions arrive in bot lane is more important than giving a leash. This is a game where giving a leash to your jungler is something that Kalista Galio can't really afford, and Varus Tahm Kench heavily incentivized to hit the wave. It changes when the flash is blown, but this was a game very likely for top-side jungle starts.
Yeah, and you can see that happening there on the side of SKT. Klid going from his red buff to the bottom side Scuttle Crab, while Boogie starts off on bottom side anyway, even without the leash, starting his own red there on the Xin Zhao, going down to the Krugs. He'll be able to clear that one out rather easily. Xin Zhao, one of those classic jungle champions designed for the role, has the inbuilt sustain, can take care of that easy breezy. As bottom side, you will see Teddy and Mata taking the early push in this lane. They know that they've got a real one-up here because of that flash.
But Xin Zhao doesn't usually go for these AoE camps as a second camp. Went Krug second, I think, so he could hover around bot side for any one buff into bot lane. Cheese ganks after the flash is down. So actually, Xin Zhao, who normally wants to go big camp into big camp to double scuttle if he can get away with it, actually had to slow down his own path just to give kind of a token little bit of help to the bot side.
Yeah, certainly the case, and you can see that SKT does actually have a ward on this top side Scuttle Crab, so they know that Boogie hasn't taken either Scuttle just yet. They do have the push, it looks like, now here from Khan, so it'll be interesting to see if they want to try to move down whatsoever and look to contest this, but they have eyes on him.
You can see the ping coming out there right as the ward expired. Boogie did walk into the range, so if nothing else, SKT knows he's right there in that upper river area. He will be able to secure the crab, so that's one each for both sides. As Klid will make his way back towards the top half of the jungle now after clearing out the bottom side. And this sort of mirrors, I think, what you were talking about with Flash Wolves on the bottom side, wanting to hover that bottom lane early with their jungler. SKT did the same thing with Klid, just making sure. But now it's Faker getting scrappy with Rather here in the mid lane.
Nice to see the scrapping there. Talk about top side, because we've actually had a lot of Akali versus Sylas, but I believe every other time it was in the mid lane. I actually think in the top lane, the ability of the Shroud to be extended so easily, and for you to actually just take over lane control, minion control, because it's so hard to walk up past the Shroud as a Sylas. I actually think in the top lane, this matchup actually goes further towards the Akali than kind of the skill matchup that we've seen in mid. Not always relevant, levels 1, 2, and 3, but it's something to keep your eyes out for that I think Akali should be so happy in the top.
Yeah, certainly the case, and we've seen just even Sylas as that individual champion struggle much more in the top lane than it has in mid lane. You know, on day one, we had seen Sylas coming out. People were, seeing it fail in the top lane, and most teams had been moving it down to the mid lane. We had seen such successful games from players like Caps, and now it is this return back to the top side for Khan, where, as you say, you can be more easily punished.
And if you're wondering why at home, what's changed, over the 2 patches, the extra 6-second cooldown nerf onto the E stops you just brawling in minion waves the whole time, and in a longer lane, you feel it. We could have 2v2 in mid. Faker seems to be walking away.
Boogie shows up, hits him with the second part of the win becoming lightning, makes sure Faker has to go home, but that's going to be it.
Yeah, and Faker does not have TP here, so rather TP's back, and he may try to set up like a little miniature freeze here, because Faker, as he goes back, will have to walk back to the lane. Some of these minions will be denied. Rather actually deciding to shove, which is a bit surprising. He may just want to reset one more time.
There was a really good comment on Twitter from Peter Dunn, who of course has been involved with Splice for a few years, about how the timing in our previous game was around punishing a Rise recall time, trying to get a tier by being there at the right time. And that's what you can use teleport advantages to do. Get back into lane, and even if they bring the jungler, they're going to miss out on a preferential back timing, like Azir is always a huge fan.
Well, SKT are going for a very early Ocean Drake here. Clid recognizes the opportunity to solo, and 5.5-minute Ocean feels real good.
Yeah, it's actually insane. I honestly feel that an Ocean Dragon this early is the strongest dragon at any point of the game. You know, when you're putting, even compared to an Infernal late game, this just invalidates so many laning phase advantages that you can get. Poke becomes much less of an issue. Mana bars can be expended much more freely, and this should give SKT much more of a free pass in these next couple minutes.
And just like when we talk about, oh, this team has a lot of carries and Thermal's going to be high value, the laners from SKT get lane presence from expending mana, specifically in the top lane, the silent mid lane, though.
There comes your Shireen Shuffle. Baker going in to make that one happen, but Rather getting himself away with a nice flash. Clid's not able to follow up and outplay that one, so that means Rather stays safe.
But you get the flash before Assault and Battery is even available from the Vi. Has used nothing to make that play, only the ult cooldown down from Faker. That's all about what happens in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, and that was such a slick play from Faker and Clid, scooping him right into that Vi Q. And Boogie is hanging around here, but Faker has a soldier available and can easily get out.
And you can tell Faker knew that that could be a sketchy situation if he stuck around any longer. The last hit immediately into right back over the wall.
And I want to talk about a sketchy situation, because you think back to yesterday, Faker and Clid weren't really playing as a duo. The famous play where it fell apart in their second series against G2 was Faker backing while Clid went for a huge flank around the red buff. That was a disconnect between mid laner and jungle. And this new roster, their bread and butter from Kesper Cup onwards from many months ago, was how much Faker was willing to dodge out of lane to back up his new aggressive jungler. So something to watch, an evolving story, is whether they can right that ship today or whether it's a newer problem.
Yeah, and it's definitely interesting, when you talk about that, because it certainly hasn't been the style that we have seen from Faker. Clid is now 6th. They could potentially look for Rather here, but even against G2, for example, we did see Faker on the Azir into Caps LeBlanc. Caps is roaming everywhere across the map, and Faker, is just taking the more guaranteed advantages, the CS advantages, but it looks like SKT trying to set up a 3-man dive here. Rather may have sniffed it out, but is staying around now.
Boogie's also going to be around mid lane, but it's plenty of manpower coming in for SKT, and that's all she wrote. First blood over to Khan.
Nice and decisive coming through from SKT. In the middle of the lane was Rather. He could have considered playing to the right side, but I think it won't make a difference when Assault and Battery is on the menu. So nicely done from SKT. A later first blood, but a clean one.
Yeah, that was very well done. And now on the bot side.
Bottom side 2v2, shall see. Trying to keep his AD carry safe. Betty gets himself out of this one, but Clid's going to be showing up here if it extends any further. Instead makes his way into the Tri-Brush, clears out the control ward. And Flash Wolves will get away, but they did have to expend the cleanse there from the Tom Kench.
One of the things I loved most about that play from SKT, though, is the fact that this is Khan bringing down the Akali ultimate as well. That makes it feel so guaranteed when you have the Vi ultimate for the gap closer. You have, essentially 3 gap closers now from Khan with the E and the 2 charges of the Akali ult. There's just no way for Rather to escape that, and there really are such effective ultimates for Sylas to steal, so I'm excited to see how Khan is going to be able to manipulate that in team fights going forward.
And Khan is also choosing to transfer his early advantage before Gunblade. Feels like every Akali matchup, it's before Gunblade and after Gunblade. An AD-BC situation going on there. So found the timing, made it happen for that. Gunblade is done. Mid lane buys back, as we know.
Faker looking to make yet another play, and there we go. No flash to get him out of it this time, and rather can't even get the shockwave off the ground. That's 2-0 SK.
That is just sick from Faker and Clid. They are so clean on that coordination there. Shurima shuffles straight into the Vault Breaker, knocking him down.
And that's one of those small moments where, again, we're talking about what can we look forward from SKT, from what they showed today against two teams they're heavily expected to win on. It's synergy between mid and jungle that will be needed when it comes to those games against G2 and IG. And this second gank before Assault and Battery makes it a slam dunk is a great look. Faker sends it straight into the welcoming arms of the Cube.
I mean, they're just using this pressure so well.
Bottom side, Betty's in some trouble yet again. Teddy and Mata not even needing interference from their jungler to make this 2v2 really sing. As top side, it's Clid and Faker and Khan coming down yet again just to make sure they're successful in stealing away this blue.
Yeah, you're taking the blue buff away from Rather. There's been so much pressure on him. Clid now with 3 visits to that mid lane, 2 without ultimate, 1 obviously that 3-man dive also, and Flash Wolves are going to have to do a better job setting up around Rather, either looking for counter ganks or getting him the vision to be able to protect himself because he's getting abused.
And now topside, Khan's looking to make the play onto Hanabi here yet again. The stolen Akali ultimate does plenty of work there with the damage. Clid shows up, Assault and Battery ready to go. Flash into it, point and click, baby. There comes the damage. Shroud's not ready to go, and that means Hanabi is down. Rather makes the TP into the top side, but not there in time means all he can do is walk away as SKT finds yet another play for themselves. Bottom lane now, Mata's going in. It's going to be a taunt onto Betty once more. Shalcy again going to be forced to save him, and SKT is in total control across Summoner's Rift.
SKT are just dictating the map, and it's a different area. Why you might a bit understand Rather's frustration is that SKT, in their wins, have singled out one lane and taken it down 2 times in the top, 1 time in the bot lane. This is the first time mid lane focus has come in, and oh so appropriate against an Orianna who wants to farm up, who has that onus on finishing items to actually have team fight threat. Mid lane is already a bit of disarray, and this is some of the mid lane problems spilling to the top.
Yeah, and Khan able to get the ultimate out of Hanabi. It's a traded ult for ult on that stolen Sylas ultimate, but then Clid flash ult straight in, no escaping that. They know the Shroud is down, they know the ultimate is down. Khan doing a good job actually forcing out those resources before they go in for the play, and this is great stuff so far from SKT.
And importantly, Hanabi tried to flash away there at the very end, but he had already been clicked on by the Vi ultimate. That meant his fate was sealed. So that's an extra ward, just a cherry on top for SKT.
It's a kind of surreal feeling for me, but in 2019, point and click abilities are refreshing. You don't see a lot of Assault and Batteries anymore. The skill shots define the game. So Vi comes in, she does one thing well, and when you watch it, it's a treat to see.
Well, SKT will treat themselves to yet another objective. Mountain Drake going their way now, too, means they're going to have an easier time taking down turrets, Drakes, and Heralds, and Barons, and all that good stuff here in the future. Still 2 minutes left to go before turret plating falls, so that Mountain Drake might be able to put some more money in their pockets as well. The Flash Wolves have a 3-man setup around the Rift Herald here. It's Shalcy and Betty who've been rotated towards this top half of the map to help out, but SKT is not willing to concede this one.
They're slowly waiting for Kalista to move all the way from bot side, push out minion wave. Actually, they aggro on here.
Here we go. Rather's able to find a 2-man shockwave. Mata going to be channeling the taunt, looking to find multiple people. It's going to be Betty who's in some trouble first, taken down very low. Boogie's actually the one to be exploded as Rather's forced to go into the stopwatch. Now it's going to be Shalcy and Betty on the retreat, but Teddy's already able to find himself a kill, meaning this is popping off for SKT. Shalcy drops to Faker. It's 4 dead on the side of the Flash Wolves, and this could not go better for SK Telecom T1.
Yeah, it's a huge win for SKT. They are now fully in control of this game. Over 4,000 gold ahead of Flash Wolves. Free 13 minutes. They can even look to knock down a first turret here with the Rift Herald.
Papa Smithy, you said coming into this that with wins over the teams they're facing today, SKT wasn't going to win over anyone that had lost some faith from their performance so far, but they could definitely show that they're here to play, and so far, this looks like the kind of League of Legends you want to see them playing.
And Flowers, no doubters can be silenced today, but believers can go on believing and not be living in any sort of dream world. The fact that they're showing timing, some more ability to play through mid-jungle that goes against their problems yesterday. The fact that their objective translations from something like a Faker strong laning phase and stealing blue buffs is another strong thing they'll want to recreate. If we zoom in on this particular fight, the Shockwave just trying to cause some disarray, but the moment that Teddy enters the fight, it feels like on all fronts SKT have this one set up.
Yeah, certainly are, and despite the fact that it was a solid Shockwave from Rather, he is split up from the rest of the team. He does not have the ability to follow forward and get there. And SKT able to get top lane turret off of that. They have knocked down all the plates in mid lane except for this final one as it has expired, and they're going to be able to get this turret as well. This is now nearly 6,000 gold ahead.
At Orianna Varus, you know, they're very much backline champions, need to rely on a frontline that's predictable, and that's just not how this game has gone. The gold is there on the side of SKT. The fights have been little chip damages from side to side. The fact that it's never really come together has actually played into Flashwolves' downfall, and now they need this to become a 40,000 gold game. You look at the top left of your screen, there's only 20,000 gold in their pockets, so those big items to actually get those fights started are a long ways off.
And what are you supposed to do when you're the backline cannons of a team and the front line can't withhold the assault coming in from SKT? You've got a Zinzao that's 0-1-1. This is an early game champion. You've got a Tahm Kench who's supposed to be your other frontliner, but that's not going to do much. SKT is in quite a position of control here.
They certainly are, and I think one of the scariest parts about this monumental gold lead for Faker, over 2,200 gold ahead of Rather, is the fact that he is playing the Azir. He is playing this monstrous late game team fighter who can reject a lot of the dive that potentially can come in from Hanabi. You know, with Akali and Zinzao, they have to essentially run straight into you. You can not only get pushed back as the Xin, you can get shuffled out of your shroud and knocked down very quickly.
So let's explore what's different here, because we've seen Faker on Azir, and most of those games, if you think back, were actually losses. So what's the difference here? Remember that was against Caps, who was roaming and was first roam at every opportunity, giving up minion waves to take over top lane, to make roam spot lane. This is instead another farming mid laner who's farming next to Azir, but doing it worse. Speaking of next to, that's a whole lot of champions on our screen.
Hanabi's under threat. Flashwolves have managed to get some backup there in time to prevent the dive and try to keep that tier 1 turret alive a little bit longer. But they've got to be so respectful of what SKT can do. Faker sets up shop here mid. The Sun Disc is going to make sure if the Flashwolves try to collapse, he's got somewhere to retreat to, and he'll do a lot of work very quickly onto this tier 2 turret of the Flashwolves.
It's just really straightforward macro play. They have the push in bot lane. Faker can have spare time in mid. There are no catch champions roaming around to counter roam, like we mentioned from Cap's champion pool. So this is how everything was intended in the G2 series that Cap subverted with both his play and his picks. Unfortunately, the Azir into Orianna is playing into Faker's hands.
And I think now we have to take a moment to look at things more from the Flashwolves side. SKT has been running this game, certainly. And the ways, you know, you kind of talk about of how would Flashwolves get back into this game? For me, it is about side lane advantages. You have to have Hanabi being able to draw someone to a side lane, utilize things like the Tahm Kench Abyssal Voyage to bring in multiple members, to get a kill on someone like Khan that can help to buy time for your backliners, for your core members, to get to that 40,000 gold.
And we remember that Pyke gameplay, and it's not like Akali can't have smooth moves as well. It's just every chess piece around the Akali-Tahm Kench combination actually wants to show up to work, punch in the ticket, have all the wards set up, and then fight. They're not disarray champions like G2 was fielding, and that unfortunately means that now, in the present at 17 minutes with this gold disadvantage, there's the chance you try to all rock up, and you're just actually extra food for SKT to munch on.
SKT are going to find themselves in control of yet another Ocean Drake here. That will be the grand total of the 7th objective for this team. 3 Drakes, 3 turrets, 1 Rift Herald. Everything showing up here for SKT as Mata moves forward into Flashwolves territory to clear out some wards. Flashwolves will try to contest it, but it's just so hard to move into their own jungle. Look at how dark this map is. 2 wards there in the top side of the jungle, 1 control ward here in the bottom side, but the rest of it is fog, and that fog is scary to walk into.
I mean, you can see this line essentially across the map here. that is basically how much of the map they have, and even less really in this bottom side jungle. They're getting pushed further and further back, and you'll notice how many camps that were originally in their territory are now food for Clid, for Teddy, for Faker, to just spring them towards more and more items.
I was about to say, you're a bit optimistic they can get their Raptors.
Yeah.
I don't know about those, and those ones are going to be gone too.
My line accuracy may have left something to be desired.
Well, unfortunately, that's just the reality that Flash was living. So coming back to your question, putting down control wards and trying to find someone overzealously face-checking, you're thinking Mada is the first person who's done that the most this tournament. Even just to pick on a Galio sounds like not much. At home, you're like, okay, it's just a support, it doesn't change anything. When Galio dies, your ability to sweep changes, your ability to ward changes, and you get some breathing room to farm one more minion wave. Maybe you get a wolf camp, because right now, you ain't getting nothing. That's the dream.
Well, one of the most subtly discouraging things you saw there is Flash Wolves tried to place a ward down over the wall to see if their red was alive. As soon as you place the ward, it's immediately disabled because your opponents have the entire jungle control warded. You know that it's going to be a ward just to eke back into your own jungle and find that little bit of a foothold. Flash Wolves will try now as SKT has had to back, put some more control wards in the inventory. And gentlemen, I would direct your eyes to that inventory right now. Control wards in everyone's pocket except for Khan. They want to continue playing this aggressive game.
And I direct your eyes to the game timer. Baron time is coming soon. As Flash Wolves, the only kind of thing you can trade upon in these scenarios where you're being snuffed out of your own jungle is to look around the map, see where the minion waves are crashing, and that's usually the time you can go away from your super defensive position and start to clear some wards. But when Baron comes in, another headache starts to tinge.
Yeah, and that's honestly the only reason why Flash Wolves was even able to get some vision out of their bottom side jungle, because SKT was resetting to prep for Baron. That vision has now been moved over to this quadrant. You can see how dark this whole map is, and as you said, the Wolf Camp is a dream, and it will remain one as Faker's just going to take it away.
I mean, at least they know that Faker's not on the Baron. That's more information they would have gotten otherwise.
But Teddy
that
could
does
be.
something, and yeah, that's the scary thing right now. The jump scare is real.
This is not just a team that's 8,000 gold ahead. This is a team that's 8,000 gold ahead with Kalista that has a Blade of the Ruined King and the Nazir. That Baron will get shredded very rapidly if Flash Wolves are not there for an immediate response, and SKT continues shadowing this area.
And when I rate Barons, I talk about Baron speed, Baron secure, and turn off Baron. They're S tier in all those things. This is a huge power area for SKT to focus on, and it's one that they set themselves up with the gold lead. They can be a bit more stubborn around this area, take some chip damage, and be fine with their extra items, their extra levels. Flash Wolves have to invade as 5 just to check the area.
And also the double ocean, right? You can stay out in these areas longer. You can start up the Baron and afford to take a little bit of poke, reset back off it, continually heal back up, and there's also potential for a 2-man Baron very easily, as Flash Wolves is now aware of.
It only takes 2. Look at how rapidly it dropped with only Clid and Faker putting damage into the objective. And it's so easy for them to disengage as well when it looks like Flash Wolves will commit.
Is this the first game ever where Double Ocean Mountain is the rigged jungle Drake spawns for a team? Because it plays into all those things. Azir, like you guys are mentioning, shreds Baron all on his own. So I hear some Azir autos, and I imagine some more Baron damage is starting.
Something's happening there in the fog of war. As you can see some question mark pings from the side of the Flash Wolves. They don't know for sure what's going on, but I'd be willing to bet they have an idea, as Baron is taken down, secured by SKT, just shy of 22 minutes.
And that is where you get that sick feeling in the pit of your stomach as Flash Wolves, knowing that your chances in this game are slipping away. You're already over 10,000 gold behind, and the Baron feels like it gives SKT the tools they need to breach these inhibitors, to breach these inhibitor turrets, and we'll see just how much and how aggressively they want to play with this Baron.
And we're talking 2.5 items on a lot of these carries already. There was 2 item points already with things like Nashor's Ronomicon and the Hurricane Blade already done before the Baron. Now the insurance items, the gold graph here tells a very, very straightforward story. And look at the scale. This isn't a 5,000 gold scale. This is a 10,000 gold scale.
SKT is so far ahead right now, they can do whatever they want on this map. You can see them continuing to secure this neutral territory, Scuttle Crab into 3rd and final Ocean Drake, and surely after that, we'll see them use the next 2.5 minutes of this Baron power play to push right into the base of Flash Wolves. They have yet to break any tier 2 turrets, so that means there is plenty of standing gold left for this team to acquire, and it's the 1-3-1 getting set up, rather the 1-2-1, as bottom side, Clid's just sort of hovering covering Faker in case the Flash Wolves are feeling kind of cheeky.
Yeah, I mean, you have to try something, though, really, at this point for Flash Wolves. This is something, I like to talk about as far as playing to win versus playing to not lose. And for Flash Wolves, if you want to play to win, even if that is the 5%, the 2%, even the 1% chance, if you see something slightly better than that, you need to take the opportunity. That means engaging, even in low-chance fights.
Well, here we go. Faker's going to be the target, taken very low and bursted down. Betty's finding the kill credit onto that one. Is now Clint and Mata have to disengage. They're in some trouble. Mata now likely going to die himself unless he can manage to get away with that flash. Pulled to safety by Teddy's ultimate. SKT seeing if there's an opportunity to re-engage this one, even though they already might be down a man. Clid's going in. He's able to find his way onto Betty here at the ultimate. Teddy's going to go in a killing spree, bringing down the enemy Xin Zhao immediately. It's 4 versus 4. SKT back themselves away. Flash Wolves managed to go even in a fight, and that is about the best you can hope for.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, did it win them the game? No, not even close. But this is the way that you start to chip away at an otherwise unassailable gold lead. You need to make plays. You need to fight back and try to wrest control from SKT of your jungle camps. And even getting these little shutdowns can mean a lot.
Flash Wolves are a very proud team, and at some point you say, all right, in spite of what the enemy has, what does our comp do with the Shockwave teamfights? They're actually still too far away, but blowing up one person, Varus had 2 items, Akali has her full suite of early game done. Bursting one person is possible. That one person was Faker, as for the first time, they actually made that aggressive Abyssal Voyage play.
And important to point out, as it's on your screen right now, Khan, the highest leveled player on this map, has hit level 16 on the Silas. Very important breakpoint, as with 40% CDR, it takes your ulti down to a 9-second cooldown as long as it's on different targets to steal from. So he'll be able to hijack multiple ultis during these team fights if he gets the opportunity. Currently sitting on the perfect execution, which we know will do plenty of damage with the items you see in his inventory right now. Flash Wolves, they may have made this pick happen, but they still have quite a battle ahead.
We see the replay here. Clid is shadowing Faker, but they're actually shadowing for a 2v2 or maybe an outnumbered 3v2 where they actually get the start. They don't get the start here. They get absolutely pincered coming through from the Abyssal Void. So very nice play, but enough space open by Mata to get back to 10.
Yeah, and once he does, SKT knows they can re-engage. Rather was spotted in the mid lane. They know this would be a 4v4 at the initial play. So SKT takes the 1 kill, disengages before Rather can actually join up with the rest of the squad. And it is a well-played re-engage from them.
And remember, our general approach, these series of SKT games, they play now, they play in the final game of the day against Fengvu Buffalo, is to really look at this team under the eye of, can they be a 3rd contender to the MSI crown? And we should mention that with the Baron, they got some standing gold, but SKT haven't broken the base with the first Baron. They're strong Wave, there's reasons for that. The Abyssal Voyage is more simple when you're launching it from the base rather than in Vision, but still, there have been some gaps in the playbook, which was pretty flawless for the first 20.
And if you are going to be comparing to that IG, to that G2, those are teams that have much more, it feels, in this tournament of that killer instinct, where they will try to take more. You give them an inch, they take a mile.
Definitely.
It's the jugular factor. Can you go for the throat when you have the opportunity and just end the game right then and there? SKT had 3 turrets before getting the Baron. They have 4 afterwards. Yes, they still command a 12,000 gold lead. Yes, this game, they are still incredibly favored to win, but they did not get a lot considering the circumstances and the conditions of the game.
And I think it's so interesting to hear pros' thoughts and coaches' thoughts on which way is right. Because while if you play that IG or G2 style, you can close out games more quickly, sometimes you're opening yourself up to more risk, right? There was a very interesting interview with Impact the other day where he called out SKT, despite their weaker start, as the strongest team in the tournament because he said they make the fewest mistakes. When they have that lead, they are the team to close you out without giving up those picks, and SKT is looking to smother out Flash Wolves in that style.
And talking to Korean pros around Lowell Park, I hear exactly the same thing. They see the games where against a bottom team IG, go for kill, the fun games as they call them, and they actually weight that way more negative than the games where they were able to actually go for that macro victory and emphasize that SKT will do that more often than not. And it's just, again, a very innate playstyle difference between the regions, one that right now is under the microscope.
Well, the next Baron is alive here in 5 seconds. We saw how quickly SKT were able to get the first once they committed to it, and surely it'll be the same story told here again. Mata, the one who's closest to the Flash Wolves roster right now, he'll be running interference if the Wolves should try to get in the way of this one, but I highly doubt that'll happen, as SKT's already got this on lock. Clid's able to find that secure, and Boogie's going to be in some trouble. Over the wall comes Khan, looking to find the damage onto multiple people. Rather's going to be taken very low and bursted out. Shalcy tries to get away. Betty has to flash. Shalcy will flash along with him. Still trying to make more plays are SKT. Flash Wolves will lose their support here. It's already 3 down, and this will surely be the end here. SKT ready to push up and make this one happen.
The turrets are no deterrent there for SKT. They secure the Baron. They chase past the tier 2s, knocking down Flash Wolves. And they don't have the minion wave, so they will reset one more time here. But SKT looking like they have this one in the bag.
And that's why sometimes you feel pedantic, because this Baron setup is perfect. Watching the replay, Khan is occupying Hanabi, and guess what's as big as the choke that stops Flash Wolves from getting to Baron? That's the taunt coming through from the Galio. They clean up, they do show the killer instinct chasing for more kills here for SKT, and for a team that's contending, it's always a question of is it enough, but this second Baron setup was flawless.
Certainly was, and you can see that gold lead on Khan showing its face in that fight, knocking down multiple members nearly instantly.
Next Drake going the way of the side of SKT. That one's secured, and considering it's 29 minutes, that means all future Drakes will be Elders, but somehow I have a feeling we won't be seeing any more Drakes this game, most likely. SKT with Baron for another 2 minutes, already a plus 3,000 on that power play, pushing the waves up in both mid and bottom. Able to take down the tier 2 there in the bottom side. Remember the last Baron play, it was Faker who found himself collapsed upon by an Abyssal Voyage out of Shalcy. That kill made it so Flash Wolves were able to stall out, prevent their base from really coming under siege. But now that SKT command the lead that they do, now they're in the late game with this Azir, with this Kalista, with this Sylas. Things are very, very scary for the side of the Flash Wolves, who have almost immediately lost their tier 3 mid turret.
SKT only playing 2 lanes. They want to play both lanes in range of the Galio ult, so because of that, playing these 2 lanes, trying to force forward and get minimum 2 inhibitors.
Middle inhibitor already gone. Khan continuing to push up here in the bottom side. SKT now rotating bodies up towards the top side. They see that wave is starting to push as well. They'll go ahead, assist the minions with that, empower those with the Baron buff, take out this remaining tier 2 here, and then push for the tier 3. If you manage to take all 3 inhibitors, you won't even need the Baron buff any longer to siege the Nexus, as Khan could be in some trouble here. Going to be Chain CC. Gets himself away, though. Easy out there for the Sylas, and he draws so much attention to himself. It's free money just waiting there in the top lane. Inhibitor turret down. Inhibitor under siege. See you later. And SKT have 2 inhibs down in the Flash Wolves base. Khan will continue pushing into the bottom side. Boogie goes in. Shockwave not going to find a whole lot. Boogie going to be taunted up. Mata into multiple people, also finding taunts of his own. Teddy goes on a rampage, finding the enemy jungler. Clid's going to be onto the back line, able to find the damage onto Rather. Going into the stopwatch, keeping himself alive, and the Flash Wolves are out of there. Hanabi last man standing, but he too will fall. And SKT will find their win.
SKT done playing with their food, smacks them with their wallets, and sends them back to the back, knowing they'll play again today. But SKT, good first showing on a day where they can't change anyone's mind.
And I think it is such an impressive showing, particularly from Clid and Faker. How they worked together around that mid lane was so clean, so well executed with this Vi and Azir combo, constantly using that Azir shuffle into the Vault Breaker from the Vi, and even bringing down Khan for that 3-man dive for first blood. SKT looked in full control start to finish.
And out of the context of the 2019 meta and what we've seen from other teams, if you present this game to me, you bring it to Papa and say, what do you think? I'm saying A+ performance from SKT, but with all the context, with those small improvements that we could still see, and with the natural tendency of this tournament perhaps favoring the bold, an A-, it was still pretty damn clean from SKT.
SKT secured just under 20 objectives to 0 that game.
That's pretty good.
11 turrets, 5 Drakes, 2 Barons, and a Rift Herald. That's 19 out of 20, almost hitting that big 2-0. But if that's the biggest complaint you've got against them that game, I'd say they had a pretty solid showing.
You got the fun facts. The one I've noticed is that we've seen 3 games so far of Teddy's Kalista. He hasn't died in any of them.
Yeah, he's been looking so impressive, and I think this is a game they can be proud of and build upon.
Yeah, SKT making a good performance here. Exactly what their fans wanted to see out of them on that one, I would assume. But hey, let's check in for some more insight from the State Farm Analyst Desk and find out their thoughts.
Thank you very much, Captain Flowers. SKT moving to 4-3 with that victory over the Flash Wolves and solidly into 3rd place. But Kobe, we got a Vi.
We got it!
We got a Vi! That's all I want to talk about.
And you know what Vi is great at, James? Of course, point and click, hard forcing pressure onto a single target. Who is that single target? Orianna. Perfect target because Orianna does not have escapes of her own, always has to use summoner spells to get away from it. And in pick and ban, they were fairly sure that Rather's going to go back to this champion. It is his main champion. He looks the best on it, so this is one of the best counters that we've seen.
Let's take a trip down memory mid lane here with Clid piloting that Vi to a MasterCard player of the game.
So what we saw here, what I loved, was he went down to mid lane. Of course, we saw both of them, but the most impressive thing was the fact that he doubled down in the mid lane after the flash was already used. Boogie didn't get any control wards to the left side of the mid lane, so really he was just susceptible of that three-man gang.
The other thing that we saw, a couple of other really good pros of this champion. She's very good at soloing the dragon. We got a level 4 early Ocean Drake for them. Really helps out with the lane phase.
Yeah, and I just love the fact that you guys brought up the point-and-click CC. Like, the fact that Vi is such a punishing jungler when you do have someone a bit more fragile in that mid lane, like the Orianna, the repeat ganks, the repeat visits, and how you can just really push those advantages just opened up the entire game.
And with those advantages, I think we got kind of one of those looks of a more classic SKT control, right?
Camp for Faker.
Camp for Faker, but yeah, definitely that.
I'm actually going to push back a little bit.
Okay.
So what I think is most interesting about this SKT is that you finally have a different jungler. And it's kind of been this reoccurring trend with SKT about this is no longer Bengi or Blank or Peanut when they became more of like those cerebral ward bot type of junglers. And then Faker was kind of like the big guy that ate up resources. This is Clid who's leading the charge on a lot of these plays. And then it just happened to be Faker who benefited that time around. But that's what's so interesting because now what does the maximum ceiling of this SKT look like compared to the old SKT? Because at some point you really do need to separate them.
The second half of the game, I think, is a really good indicator of where this team is at when they have a good control because, we got a good look at SKT when they went up against G2 and losing that early game lead, that definitely hurt them, or at least their confidence, right? So in this game, they had a fantastic lead. That composition is in danger of getting collapsed on Baron with that composition that Flash Wolves have, so they didn't take that risk. They just sat in bushes. For a long time, the Observer had that, the lights shut out.
Zoom out.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just claustrophobic if you're on the Flash Wolves side of the map.
I like this idea that you're bringing up of comparing SK Telecom to previous iterations, because people will always do that.
Yeah.
It's the most historically successful organization of all time. And if you do that, yes, the biggest difference is the jungle, is Clid, in this more offensive look. However, when people are doing that, I think you'll also need to compare the field that various years of SK Telecom are playing against, because we're now in a field where Invictus Gaming and G2's style of teams are taking over, and that is the success that at this iteration is having to deal with.
And I love the fact that you mentioned Peanut, because Peanut was supposed to be that aggressive jungler that
He was supposed to be the one.
But then you didn't get the consistency, and I love the fact that Clid is the whole package, the aggro nature of it, and also just the consistency, because he's the only one winning these MVPs.
And by my count, Clid is sitting on 4 player of the games here in the group stage for SKT. And so I'm going to go ahead and call back to Raz's list from the top of the day. His top 5 tier list, Clid was sitting up on top of that.
Is Clid 7-0, Dash?
Was Clid number 2 or 1?
He was number one, right?
Number
He was
one.
number one.
Rookie was number 2.
The rookie was number 2.
Rookie was number 2.
But I think it speaks to the importance of this player to the team's success, right? When we talk about IG, we continue to talk about how it can come from so many different people, but it seems that for SKT, it starts and ends with Clid.
And what's crazy is, where Clid came from, being forged in the LPL with JDG right there. He actually took Ning to all 5 games, and looking at Clid domestically before moving over to the LCK, like back in LPL, there was a lot of inconsistencies. It's funny that you bring up like Peanut, and you're like, he just wasn't consistent enough, but then Clid actually is for SKT, because that was almost never Clid's career back in the LPL.
And I would even say at the beginning of this year in LCK, this year with SKT, Clid wasn't consistent, right? But international stage, the performance has been clean.
Finding his footing. SKT still has 1 game ahead of them today in Game 6 against Fongvu Buffalo. But ahead of that, I want to take a look at the standings here for all of the group stages. Of course, Invictus Gaming sitting at 7-0, but SKT hold that third at 4-3.
I'm just going to say, fans of TL who just watched Flash Wolves lose to SKT, that was probably a sigh of relief. You're like, we cannot allow Flash Wolves to pick up victories, to put pressure on TL to maintain that 4th place position.
It's kind of rough, man. The last time and the only time a North American team has gotten into the knockout stage of MSI was CLG, like in that whole run that they had in the Shanghai event. So for Team Liquid, got to be able to buck that trend.
Yeah, they're going against IG next, but their remaining schedule to follow after that is SKT and G2 tomorrow. So no easy road for TL, only playing teams above them, and even more to your point than Frost. If the expectation is that they will drop all of those games, it would be important for TL that Flash Wolves doesn't sneak a win against another top team.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about games all playing out by the standings, then that is going to be the battle for 4th place, and we have to probably play that tiebreaker. But I am still holding out hope that Team Liquid take a game off of one of these teams ranked above them, SK Telecom, G2. Even IG.
There you go.
Wait for the faces.
You really muscled that one out there, Kobe Frost. What are you thinking?
And I keep having this conversation with a lot of the NA casters and analysts behind, like, where is the goalpost for you guys? And it feels like the sentiment really is that, like, 4th is expected getting to knockouts, but the one thing that you guys seem to want more than anything else is taking down G2, IG, or SKT.
Yes.
If that happens, are you just, like, happy? Doesn't matter if they drop after knockouts?
Well, I think if they do that, they wouldn't possibly, miss knockouts, right? And so, therefore, not only would they hit 4th, but it at least gives us that inkling of, hey, something can be done. A contest can be made on these top teams. As the top 4 of MSI gets narrowed down, a reminder that picking up the new Conqueror Alistair skin contributes to the prize pool. Doesn't matter if you get just the skin or the bundle, 25% of revenue goes to the players competing. So pick up your skin today. When we return, Team Liquid load onto the Rift, opposite Invictus Gaming. Don't go anywhere.
Boogie's also going to be around mid lane, but it's plenty of manpower coming for SKT, and that's all she wrote. Faker looking to make yet another play, and there we go. No flash to get him out of it this time. Clid shows up, assault and battery ready to go. Flash into it, point and click, baby. There comes the damage. Teddy's already able to find himself a kill, meaning this is popping off for SKT. Chelsea drops to Faker. It's 4 down on the side of the Flash Wolves. Well, here we go. Faker's going to be the target, taken very low and bursted down. Still trying to make more plays are SKT. Flash Wolves will lose their support here. Clid's going to be onto the back line, able to find the damage onto Rather. Going into the stopwatch, keeping himself alive, and the Flash Wolves are out of there. We are back, and we're right on time for our next bout today. Invictus Gaming versus Team Liquid.
Yep, and TL, they did go 1-1 against Flash Wolves, so now you're thinking, all right, you either have to depend on Flash Wolves losing a Feng Vu if everything else goes expected, or TL have to get an unexpected win. They need to be hunting for an upset.
And you have to think they're going to come in and play their style. We were kind of brainstorming drafts that could possibly work against IG, and I don't think trying to match IG at what they do best, their aggression, is going to take TL over the line. Looking over to Invictus Gaming, that is so loaded with talent, and when it feels like they can play almost every champion across roles, for TL, you have your 3 or 4 that you like, and you try to stick to it.
Yeah, I want to see Team Liquid step up here. Of course I do. I'm from North America. We'd love to see our team do well at an international event. Team Liquid has never made it out of group stage at an international event before. They'd love to make this one be the first.
And no team has gone 10-0 in group stage, and Invictus Gaming right now seems set up to do so. They're looking at this as just another game for them, whereas for TL, if they really want to start and fulfill some of the long-standing hopes for this team that only strengthened this year, if it could start now, that would be to the rapture of the NA fans.
Yeah, certainly. And you have to think, if there were to be a trap game here for IG, they just essentially locked in first. They have the 2-0 head-to-head over G2. They're sitting at 7-0. Maybe it's time for a little bit of a happier game.
Well, Team Liquid, I also want to see them tighten up things specifically around the early game because they've had some mistakes in a few of their previous matches, especially against the top-end teams, where they fall behind early, and then even if they have some better plays, some good moments in the mid and late game, it's overshadowed by those early game errors.
And while your North American greed for a happy game exists, I'm actually similarly greedy, but for different reasons. Not for TL's fortunes, but because I want to see what they've been cooking up when it comes to these fun champions. Because the Kane expected. A lot of the picks expected that we've seen from them. It's kind of been a greatest hits of champions past, like Jackie Loves Draven and the Kane coming through, but they have also, for sure, been cooking up something special. Throw me a Quinn, throw me something really spicy.
Ooh.
That's what Papa wants.
I haven't seen a Quinn in a while. You are getting pretty spicy.
So we're overdue for one, right, Flower?
All right, fair. Well, when you've got logic like that, how can I argue?
I mean, to be fair, I don't want to see if you're TL, you don't want to see actually the Quinn into something like a GP, right? Like that is actually
that's a bad one.
That's a horrible matchup. So, that's the thing with IG. You have so much faith in their individual players that they can put out something like a Quinn and you're not necessarily doubting it.
All right, here we go into Champion Select. Invictus Gaming versus Team Liquid. TL really wanting to tie that score up there 4-4, but Invictus Gaming 7-0 so far. That is a strong opponent. They're going to start off by banning out the Tarek.
And they show more respect to TL than they do at SKT when it comes to a blue side Tarek ban. It's, of course, something that's already been played on stage multiple times by Team Liquid, but something that IG seem innately set up to deal with, but not going to happen here. And you notice the difference, though. Flex pick bans by TL that play some of these picks, but kind of in one lane. They don't necessarily flex them as well. Meanwhile, very straightforward bans from Invictus Game.
And by straightforward, you mean Core JJ bans, as many teams like to issue towards Team Liquid. We have seen this man draw so much ire from opposing teams during the pick and ban phases in the past. That's not going to change much here. IG with 2 seconds left to decide what they want that final one to be, and they're going to go ahead and pay some respect towards the jungle as well, banning the Jarvan away from Xmithie.
I think partially all that attention that Core JJ has been getting in picks and bans is due to the fact that TL doesn't play flex picks as well, right? When you're not saying, oh, well, what about their Jace? What about their Akali? Sure, they can play some of these picks, but they're very rarely flexed at all. So a lot of the power is taken out of them, and that means that the MVP is going to get focused more. They're saying, this is the strongest player on TL, let's hold him down.
And I think people miss that point as well because they say, oh, but TL play Akali. And yes, they do. Jensen has had some good games and some more ordinary ones. But importantly, you don't really give too much respect to Impact play. He's played it in the past. He's been playing solo queue in Korea. But because they can't flex it and use the matchup supremacy that the top 5 flex picks bring, they're a tier down when it comes to the respect bans.
While Team Liquid has targeted those solo lanes, those flex picks rather heavily, there is one that they missed, and Invictus Gaming will be quick to snatch up that Rise, their first pick for themselves. While Team Liquid are going to go ahead, they'll grab themselves the Rek'Sai in the jungle with Jarvan banned away. They want another one of those powerful early game junglers. They'll put Xmithie on that, and Doublelift will be on the Varus.
Yeah, and I think Rek'Sai is something that a lot of LCS fans will be happy to see here for Xmithie. It is something with some early game presence. It is something that Xmithie can hopefully impact some of these lanes in, because he is going to need to be able to do that for TL to have any chance against IG. I'm also very curious if Impact is going to go back to the Kennen that he actually showed earlier against Feng Vu into the Ryze, if this is even going to be a top lane Ryze, because yes, that did work against Feng Vu, but if this is Shy, piloting this character, it is an entirely different beast.
Now, when it comes to picks, it almost feels like you could autofill Xayah, Rakan, Braum into this fit. We see the lock-in of the Braum. The Tahm Kench was I was going to say, but the Braum ends up
Tahm
being
Kench,
locked
certainly.
in. I was actually hoping to see a bit of a pivot to a Leona, an old counter to Xayah, Rakan that also can be used to make the Ryze accountable. It's something that Core JJ's played in his past, but just going to be the Braum so far, so unrequited so far for the happy fun picks.
Yep, definitely the case. Certainly IG are looking to take this one very seriously, and it is interesting to see the Braum over the Tahm Kench. I definitely was expecting Tahm Kench to come in here as well, but that being said, it is a champion that is much more passive, much more defensive. This is going to allow, I think, especially alongside the Rek'Sai, them to have more powerful gank assistance in the bottom lane, more ability to actually attack here, and try to perhaps pick up the pace a little bit.
And as we get into the second part of the bans here, we're going to see some mid lane focus from both sides. Invictus Gaming taking away a champion that Jensen has plenty of reps on in that Syndra. Team Liquid keeping Rookie away from the LeBlanc. The Olaf also going to be banned out there. They don't want Ning counter jungling and controlling the early game with that one.
Not on the Olaf, at least. If you're thinking of another champion that wants to take the battle to a Rek'Sai Kindred, for example, is open and could be considered, but a more aggressive pick, of course, and can be very all or nothing. The GP ban now standard for the second round. TL not willing to first round it like they did in playoffs in North America. So looking to see what the first pick is here. Looking for a blind mid laner. It's one that's drawn a lot of criticism recently, and the passive choice even more so than, say, a Nazir in the Orianna.
But I do think this fits more of what TL's style is. Yes, we have seen Jensen on the LeBlanc a couple games, but they have not really been playing well around it. They have not seemed to know exactly how to get into those side lanes and how to create picks and create advantages elsewhere on the map. Instead, they have very often just been bringing the LeBlanc to a team fight and failing there. So I'm very interested to see if TL is saving this last pick for something new to be revealed. Are they willing to go to something like a tank, like a Cho'Gath, or trying to play that sort of matchup?
We've been commanding kind of Cho'Gath picks quite a lot when we're backseat pick banning in the caster room, because Cho'Gath has a pretty good matchup into both Ryze and also a lot of top lane mages. The Kennen one, not as clean, of course.
Yeah.
It will be top lane Kennen in this particular game. And okay, Ning jumping onto the Lee Sin this time. You see an Orianna, someone a bit more immobile. Varus as well. No Tahm Kench to eat up.
I think this actually could also be a Victor pick. This is something that we have seen Impact play in the past. It does match up fairly well.
Has
into
priority
the
in the lane, yeah.
So that would be an option. That being said, they haven't been playing much at all around top lane, so if you're going for something like the Victor, you can be exposing yourself very heavily. Nico, not something we've seen Impact play whatsoever, but we have been seeing this showcase throughout the tournament by multiple teams.
Your heavy expectation would be it would be a top lane Nico on hit. You do kind of a Nara impression. The top die meta was created around Impact's Nara, so it's going to be very similar on hit build here. Definitely not a kind of counter pick matchup into the Kennen by any means, but it's one where you can be competitive in certain windows.
And this is actually the opposite sides that they played in the previous matchup. Shy actually did pick this into Impact, and one of the things that is, very preferential to the Nico is the additional range.
What you're telling me is a skill check against the Shy initiated by Impact.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, Impact has not been the problem for TL in this tournament. And even on the other side of that matchup, Impact was down in farm, but was, holding out okay. And I think that is what you want to ask from a guy like Impact against the Shy. If you are not giving up solo kills, if you're not monumentally behind, you're going to be pretty pleased, I think, with his performance.
You think I'm being incredulous? I'm just saying 2 world champions, a skill check? Why not?
Okay.
Throw that gauntlet
I see
down.
the twinkle in your eye.
It's MSI, baby. This is where you throw down those gauntlets. This is the arena where these guys are going to do battle here yet again, and we are about to hop into Summoner's Rift to see how it all plays out. Playing the opposite sides of that matchup is always so fun to see between two players, especially when it could be so volatile like this one.
And this is actually so interesting. Glacial Augment for Impact. This leads me to believe it may be an AP.
Oh,
Nico, not the on-hit. I do think this is going to be the Super Soaker Spooky Ghost style of build. Maybe he's going to show something out there, though.
As we make our way on to Summoner's Rift, I want to continue the conversation that you brought up right before we transitioned in, Azael, because the Glacial Augment, the idea of the AP Nico over the on-hit, I actually personally like this for Team Liquid because on-hit Nico depends so much on having that side lane control, so much on being able to have that priority. If she doesn't have it, she's a big caster minion. And being able to have the AP, the opportunity for the big pop blossom in a team fight, I think gives Liquid more avenues to play with.
And that's more their style. This is almost more the Kennen cosplay where you're trying to push outside lanes and then come for that big team fight, look for the big AoE ultimate. And I do think that is more where a player like Impact has often succeeded. So I'm going to be very interested to see how he's going to perform. And also against Shy, who has taken very lane-focused runes. Airy, as well as Taste for Blood and Scorch. That is about as lane-focused as you get on Kennen.
And matchup-wise, when we first saw this matchup, as you guys mentioned, in the reverse case in the first round robin between Team Liquid and Invictus Gaming, I thought it would be AP top lane Nico, because if you think about why to run the Nico into Kennen and where Kennen struggles, the reason why something like Victor hurts is because Victor can wave clear and push from range. That's what AP Nico can do. You don't have to get in for those third hit auto attacks.
The Nico trolled me so hard. I'm watching this.
I know I saw you getting excited.
Yeah, my eyes got really wide. I looked up top. I was like, oh my gosh, is this the lane slot? No, it's
you
just
you almost pulled the Vedius.
Just Nico things. She
don't
will
wanna
be
do
in
that.
top
Two
side.
double lifts?
OMG! But it is Nico top side, of course. Balon here in the bottom side, walking through the river there. CoreJJ and Double Lift not going to step up and try to contest that one. Jackie Love and Balon on the Lovers duo there in the bottom lane. We've seen them play this duo plenty of times before, and they are very adept at it. Ward placed down by IG on the Team Liquid red buff. We'll see Xmithy there.
Yeah, Deep Vision on this path will actually reveal that a 3-buff potential is possible for IG if they want it, because this path is very much walls into red, into the Krugs up top for quick level 3. So that's what's been revealed. So that's both Kennen with the expectation of a gank soon, and Ning knowing he can just take an enemy blue buff if he wants it.
Ning moving towards that, but looks like he's going to take a pit stop here for the Scuttle Crab first. Make sure that he grabs up that one. as Xmithy is still going to be going for those Krugs. Finishing that camp up does take a little bit longer there early on because you have to kill the little ones. Take a couple seconds to pop out there as the larger ones die. And mid lane, Rookie versus Jensen. I want to talk about Jensen here real quick because he's a player who's been so heaven or hell so far in MSI as bottom side. Doublelift and CoreJJ going to take a little bit of damage there from Jackie and Balon.
And remember, this is level 3 path here from Ning. He's already mid.
Jensen taking a lot of damage. Ning wants to hit the Sonic Wave. He's got it! And resonating strike means first blood over to Invictus Gaming. Flash out from Ning to stay safe.
And that is the level 3 camp Krugs path. Red, Krugs, as well as that Scuttle gets you level 3 straight to mid. And the smite Q there onto Jensen.
Meanwhile, bottom side, the knockup comes through. Doublelift's in some trouble. One more auto attack should do it, and Balon finds the kill, dashing back to the safety of Jackie Love.
And IG already asserting their dominance. 2v2 kill on the bottom side. First blood in the mid lane. Things looking grim already here for Liquid.
And this is the tragedy for Team Liquid. So many people looked at this team, but let's look at the mid lane here yet again and see how Ning did it.
Exactly. Ning had options. He could have gone for a blue suit. Instead,
That is
as you
sick.
mentioned, the smite onto the caster minion to guarantee the Q. But in the bot lane, this is just a pure 2v2. The shield there, the door was being held but wasn't quite strong enough. They got damage past it, and now more brawling.
Bottom side, Xmithy's trying to make the
TP
play
coming
on the
in.
Invictus Gaming bottom lane, but now with TP coming in, Xmithy could be in some trouble. Rookie made his way into the fight, able to find the Rune Prison down onto the TL jungler. Flash out is not enough, and Team Liquid will find their third death this game. IG dominating this early game.
Yeah, IG looking to make short work here of TL. They are getting mopped up right now. A great TP from Rookie, able to easily answer that pressure on the bottom side from Smithy.
And I wanted to mention it earlier, but I didn't get a chance because so much action broke out. But so often people talked about Team Liquid's bottom lane being their best spot. When things like this happen, it's hard to make that really pop off.
And I mean, this gank, how is this ever going to work? Look where Doublelift is in comparison to where Smithy is. Smithy is so far ahead of the marksman. You're never going to have enough damage with just Smithy and CoreJJ there. That was never going to happen.
And the concerning thing is that IG are posing questions that TL can't answer with their successful ganks, but also answering TL's one attempt at a proactive move. It's actually very unfortunate that Smithy has to flash as well, doesn't get out and loses some gank attempt pressure in other lanes.
And the sad part here is that Impact is actually, laning solidly again against the Shy here. Going even, tit for tat there up in that top lane, but meanwhile, the map has already fallen apart around him. Mid, bot, and jungle have all died.
Smithy will now fire off that Scryer's Boom to see Baolan and Ning moving up towards him here yet again. Invictus Gaming with full control over the priority in the bottom lane. Means Jackie Love is able to shove this one up. Feels pretty safe at the same time. Scuttle Crab, second one, spawning there down in the bottom side of the river, which means easy control for IG and Ning specifically, who already has the Tiamat on the Lee Sin. He'll be clearing the camps out very rapidly and continuing to deal damage and apply pressure to these lanes. Looking for Jensen here in the mid lane yet again. But Xmithy's going to show up there for the counter gank. Showing up, trying to make it happen. Shockwave comes out. Invictus Gaming now retreating, not able to find anything. Good heads up there from Xmithy.
Yeah, the counter gank here will keep everyone alive. Ning walking up, posturing, knows he's strong. He's actually going to keep chasing onto Xmithy with the level lead.
Yeah, exactly. You can chase after this guy knowing you have not only the level lead, but a significant gold lead. The early Tiamat going to give a lot of power here to Ning.
Yeah, that means a lot. Remember when you're looking at jungle itemization, the jungle item without the jewel in it doesn't do anything against players. Ning could be in some trouble here, though. Finds the Dragon's Rage onto Xmithy. Going to be keeping him away with that one. Trying to stay alive, and he'll get over the wall, but not in time to evade the auto attack coming out from Jensen. That'll make it a 1-for-1 trade there, as Rookie takes the Blast Cone to get himself away.
Comes
But he
Impact.
could be caught between Impact and Jensen. Instead, he manages to navigate the fog and get himself to safety.
Still, TL will be happy to take that one. That's a shutdown and a blue buff onto Jensen in a 1-for-1 trade. Yes, Jensen lost some farm to the turret, but certainly from a disadvantage, you will be happy about this one. And here it is again, Ning trying to flex on Xmithy here. He is the level up. The Unburrow was on point from Xmithy, denying the Q damage though.
And Rookie tries to take a super direct path to get that first kill, but by the time they get it, it's already in 1-for-1 territory as the Clockwork wind-up order over the wall will answer it. Bot lane, despite the kills, CS is going to be even for now between Double Lift and Jackie Love. But just zooming out a little bit and talk about how this early game has gone, one thing I want to posit that talks about the difference between these two teams is that when you see things like Ning, who, like we were alluding at the time, could have taken a free blue and gotten out and gone for a 3 buff in North America and in the LCK, you take that because it's guaranteed. You know there's no chance of being contested.
Safe
but that's
goal.
not how you play, and that's how not Invictus Gaming plays at this pace. They go for the gank that requires a skill expression, the 70% play, instead of 100% blue buff, and that's the innate difference between some regions.
And that is the most special thing I think about IG, is that they are always willing to take that skill test. And they are going to come out on top 9 times out of 10 in those skill plays, in those skill matchups. You know, pulling off ganks like the Smite Q to get first blood in the mid lane.
And bottom lane, you can see, despite the fact that Double Lift's doing a good job staying even on farm, never mind, top side, we got some action breaking out. The Shy Pop and the ulti, Impact going to be doing the same. They both come out about equally worse for wear, but Ning recognizes the opportunity to go for the Infernal Drake here. He can solo this one down rather effectively. Baolan will rotate over just to make sure there's not any sort of trouble brewing, and that's Infernal over to the side of IG.
The thing about skill tests, Azale, is that what's left for the person that loses it is definitely going to be a lot of emotive feelings, but also summoners that can be returned to for a damn long time. And that's just been the way that China love to roll, and it's something that G2 have definitely taken a nod from.
Certainly have, and IG, bad going to worse there for TL as they are going to grab that Infernal. It's going to be up to Xmithy to try to protect these lanes, to try to keep them somewhat in this game, because Varus, Braum, Orianna, these sorts of champions alongside Nico do have a very powerful team fight, and there will be opportunities in the later stages of the game to win those. That being said, one of the most terrifying things about IG is not only the advantage they have, but how decisive they are and how many forms of hard engage they're going to be able to have. Not only the Lee Sin looking for a kick, but Baolan on his signature Rakan is going to be such a strong engager.
Ning is waiting to see if there's an opportunity down here in the bottom lane. JJ and Double Lift will shove that out, but instead they're just going to back away. They don't want to force anything any deeper. There is a ward behind them just outside of the range of their turret that keeps an eye on where they're at. Baolan and Ning still both hanging around, giving the illusion it's only Jackie Love here. Teleport not available on either IG solo laner to get involved in one of these fights if they break out, but rookies will soon be up.
Sort of thing that is keep 100% uptime on, and it gives you options when those teleports are back. Right now, like you mentioned, Flowers, not going to be able to be exploited. Smithy not going to be able to path around the Rift Herald, spawns very, very shortly. Blue buff transfer, a little bit of normalcy. Again, the CS totals don't really tell the story of this game just yet. Damage has been done, but it's not mortal on Team Liquid at 10 minutes.
No, they will certainly have their shots in this game, and the fact that the pace has somewhat slowed down, I think, does help them out in that regard. IG has not taken those early kills and completely run things over.
Good job there from Rookie. Interrupting Jensen's back. He was standing on top of the zombie ward. Rookie sees the disrespect in that one, wants to make it a little bit more inconvenient for him to go back and make that purchase as he'll step up and continue trying to clear out the wave. Xmithie waiting over the wall. Could seek an opportunity for a gank here as Rookie steps up to go after the caster minions, but once again, Xmithie just goes after these situations that have a low chance of turning into much.
On the top side as Ning lies in wait. The thing I want to talk about with the mid lane is because of that TP advantage, I love the fact that Rookie says the only time you get it back is when you bring your jungler and actually get help with the push. I'm going to make you accountable for every other back. I appreciate that because with the advantage there and the ability to TP and get an item advantage whenever he wants, it's another thing Jensen has to cause jungler for. That's not a kill.
I do think, though, Xmithie deserves some credit in being able to, move around the map and protect these lanes, even just threaten something.
1v1 in the mid lane. Jensen's able to get a turret shot onto Rookie with a well-placed shockwave, but considering he's almost out of mana, doesn't want to continue this fight any longer right now. Rookie gets himself away, and both are going to be hurting pretty bad after that one.
Yeah, and Jensen will be able to push this up because he has that blue buff. He will regen his mana back and, be able to stay relevant here. This is a cannon wave, so Rookie's just going to TP back in.
But Ning is already there. He's able to make the flash into the sonic wave, resonating strike. Jensen with a flash of his own is going to stay alive.
Yeah, the barrier there just barely keeping Jensen alive. Command Protect plus barrier, as well as the Trade of Summoners, does keep him alive, but you can see the damage Ning is putting out. That is a completed warrior plus the Tiamat this early on. This Lee Sin is here to play.
IG aren't happy enough with potentially being the first team to go 10-0 in groups. They want to go for another title of cleanest Lee Sin for Ning, and it's getting close. He's definitely putting some thoughts out there. Jensen TPs to the second turret just for safety.
Exactly. That is showing how scared you are of a potential dive. He sees that damage, now knows he has no defensive summoners. You're not going to mess around with that. If you TP all the way in and get flash rooted into another Lee Sin gank, you are toast.
Nice shop timing. He's got the stopwatch and the Luden's done, so at least now he has a bit of safety, even if it's not the flash. The heal available with the Unsealed Spellbook as well.
I will give it over to Team Liquid. I'm impressed with their farming so far. Shockwave's going to come out there in the mid lane from Jensen. Rookie having a flash away. Xmithie coming in now too. Ning going in forward after that Rek'Sai here once again. Both top laners going to be making their way into the fray. Xmithie trying to go in. It's Impact showing up there now. He's going to be disguised. He's finding the initiation. And Team Liquid's able to find so many kills. A double kill over to the top laner. Doublet's going to clean up one onto Ning as well. And 4 are dead on the side of Invictus Gaming.
Impact makes the robe and finds the miracle ultimate there, hitting 4 members of IG with the Pop Blossom, and they're going to get the Rift Herald too.
This is exactly why we said the AP style seems to fit Impact more. Come in, join up for the team fights, don't worry about that solo lane split push domination as much, and he shows exactly why it can work. Awesome play coming out from him.
Absolutely, the boom shakalaka moment when we hit the replay is going to be so cool to watch. He didn't have a teleport, that was just a good old honest roam, but the timing is what made it oh so effective.
And all of a sudden now, TL sitting slightly ahead in gold. They have the Rift Herald. This game moving back to normalcy, and this is something that TL fans have been waiting for. An honest shot at a mid and late game against these top teams. And here it is one more time, Xmithie with the well-timed Unburrow. But you can see Impact in his Xmithie cosplay moving down, flash ultimate.
Now, they wouldn't have been surprised there was Xmithie on the screen, but the flash and assertiveness that the AP Nico provided was important. That was a huge amount of momentum swing, which what was causing the potential for this to be just another IG march forward.
Yeah, and it is such a nice play from Impact there, and that does show off some of the potential AoE that they can get going in these team fights. He has the Hextech GLP. He will be building towards the Spooky Ghost that is going to help him land that initial CC to try to set up a team fight.
But the thing about AP Nico and burst comps that we've seen this time is they often haven't worked because the fool me once, yep, that definitely worked, but twice, 3 times, you're going to need another 2 of those to ravage a team fight, so we'll wait and see if TL can recreate it after surprising IG.
Quick use of the Herald after securing it there in the bottom lane for Team Liquid. They recognize IG was back. This is their chance to make sure they get the charge off from Shelly, put some damage onto the turret. Plates have already fallen. We're 15 minutes into the game, so no extra gold to be acquired there, and Team Liquid will have to back away.
And no extra gold, and Rookie and Ning in the area. They had been warded out, so if they were to go forward, the Realm Warp plus that Lee Sin coming in was a possibility that TL certainly had to respect.
It looks like a lazy Rift Herald, but actually if you remove the turret play timer and look how they had deep vision, as you can see, on the minimap, very deep onto this side. This reminds me of an old school Rift Herald, where you know it's going to get a charge, where you have both the tremor sense and deep vision to see any potential rotations, and they do get the turret after all.
And if you're a Team Liquid fan, you're happy with the events of the last minute and a half or so. Not only did they find the team fight, not only did they grab themselves that Rift Herald, but now with first turret, they're still in a good spot. But you've got to remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's IG. This is the 7-0 team, and if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
Exactly, and while as TL you want to group up and have these organized team fights, IG is not always going to let you. They can play this split push to perfection. Rookie in a side lane with Ning and Baolan collapsing and picking off TL members left and right is certainly a reality that we could soon be in.
Definitely. If you ask me, how does this game look like if IG win it, it's Team Liquid being lost in rotation multiple times because IG, they got Realm Warp, they have the ability to play 3 lanes very comfortably and their own engage tool. So with all of that in consideration, you can't skip steps moving around the map as TL.
And that's another reason why I think that the Rek'Sai is such a critical pick for TL. It's not only the early game pressure, it's the ability of the Prey Seeker to check bushes, it's the ability of the Tremor Sense to track movement and have a better shot on the side of TL of not getting picked off by these incredible players who can find you slipping at a moment's notice.
And I'll specifically be watching it Jensen because this Orianna has so often been caught in rotation during MSI 2019 and play-ins. You need to be ushered forward. Xmithy being the bodyguard for the Ori is not a half bad idea.
CoreJJ and Xmithy moving up in the top side river here. They have a lot of Team Liquid members nearby, so they're not too afraid just yet. Impact making his way up towards the top half of the map now as well. 17 minutes in, Rift Herald's already been taken, still no Baron to fight over. Team Liquid see the opportunity to make a siege happen onto what's left of the Tier 1 turret here of Invictus Gaming. Impact moving up into the jungle, clearing out one of those control wards, just giving IG one little extra thing to think about while that mid lane's cleared out.
Again, a very ordered play. They were staying towards the bot side where they already had the map littered up. Nice stuff so far. Again, very Gen GS within CoreJJ in his element. In games like this, trying to make it as square as possible. And to their credit, Team Liquid at 17 minutes, slender gold lead, and IG for now are actually leashed despite being off the leash all tournament.
And look at the bottom part of the map right now. You can see that Team Liquid wants Impact to continue split pushing there in the bottom lane. They've got wards set up for him in the Krug camp, on the back part of the red buff, in that tri-brush as well. They want to see who's heading down, and right now it's Rookie looking to make a play with the Realm Warp. Impact could be in some trouble here, goes into the Pop Blossom, but the damage is true! Impact tries to get himself away, but he's going to be cut down by the shot.
Absolutely nice play with the Realm Warp. That's the difference between Ori and Rise. Rise can make those plays himself. Had the flash to go over the wall, but I think quickly understood that with the timing and the Rune Prison, he wasn't getting away with it, so holds onto the flash for another big play.
Yeah, and you can see Rookie was anticipating it. Phase Rush was already procced. He was looking to run around behind him as well, so I do think it's a good hold on the flash there from Impact, but this is the way IG will get control back of this game, that they can certainly crush through TL. But for the side of TL, this is comfort across the board here. You know, when you're looking at a side laner for Impact who can push out, then join for the team fights. You're looking at a solid team fighting mid and bot lane, and you're looking at this jungler who can help to control and play around vision.
The one thing I like about watching Rookie, about watching IG, not only is he an incredibly talented player, but he's willing to play for the team, make these rotations, and collapse to set everybody up.
And it's a very important thing for them to do, because what I'm looking for from IG in this perspective right now is to set up more scenarios where this makes sense. Notice that was with the Nico pushing into an inner turret in bot on enemy territory. You can also invade with all your playmaking, get down deep vision, and go for a TP play of your own.
And now this is about the Infernal, but Doublelift is going to have to TP down to join the team. IG already has the inside track on this, and we'll see if TL want to challenge, because this will be a potential double Infernal advantage for IG.
This could be a play with big team fighting ultimates coming in. The Shy is over the wall. He has Flash and Slicing Maelstrom ready to go. IG already securing the Infernal Drake, take the opportunity to back themselves away. They don't want to force a needless fight. Yeah, this is a scrappy team, but they already got what they came for.
And that is such a big deal there for IG. They have helped to secure the late game for themselves with these Street Dragons that they have. Yes, the gold is pretty close, but double Infernal plus the Mountain Dragon, not only is that helping you to take the Baron, the amount of extra burst coming through when you are building damage across the board here is going to be very, very relevant.
You can see Rookie and Ning potentially looking for a chance to realm warp on top of Impact there yet again. They are going to be spotted out by the control ward, so that one won't succeed this time around. Meanwhile, Team Liquid recognize the opportunity to move into the top side of the IG jungle, drop down some wards of their own, and provide some cover for Doublelift as he pushes into the tier 1.
And one thing to remember as the game goes on is that the Shy and Rookie can go to one lane, for example, the only TP lane, Impact, and go for a piggyback gank where you both attack one person and then both teleport to be at a Baron fight. That's a unique advantage with the summoner spells to keep track of as the game goes on.
Yeah, it certainly is. For Jensen, I mean, he does have that teleport with the summoner spellbook, but you are not a split pusher on the Orianna. At most, you are an answer the wave, rejoin the team. And every time you do that, that rotation that you have to make between the lanes leaves you vulnerable to be getting collapsed on, to be getting realm warped on by these players and picked off.
JackeyLove will continue pushing up here in the mid lane. Has Balon waiting just over the wall in case Team Liquid goes for some sort of an engage. 2 items completed now on this Xayah. 2 items critically also completed across the board on Impact. The Super Soaker Spooky Ghosts are now up and running, and that means more initiation potential for TL, who are now going to find that chance, maybe on the Balon. They're going to stack up that Braum passive, but won't be able to get it, and he gets to safety.
But even a chunk out like that gets a deep ward onto the dregs of this outer mid lane turret coming through from IG. The cool thing about the Twin Shadows is that whether you're in an offensive position, you start a Baron, you pop Twin Shadows, you try to pick someone, or you lose vision in an area and use Twin Shadows for 2 kind of search out wards, it can be used in both scenarios. And we expect, when you look at these inventories, as vision gets exhausted and has to be replenished, things like that can actually allow you to skip over a back timing that you couldn't take because the Twin Shadows buys you the extra 10 seconds.
And I think that's such a good point because especially in coordination with that Rek'Sai, there are so many ways then to check those rushes, to feel safe making those movements between the lanes and to try to keep track of Ning and Baolan, who will punish you if you are caught slipping.
Definitely feels like they're writing exam and they wrote some notes on their cuffs here. They can always refer to those. TL walks up. They've warded around this area, but you always have to worry about an IG flank.
Team Liquid very far forward. Ning's going to be caught out now, though. Forced to flash away defensively. Xmithy looking to go after him. Going to be taken very low. Forced to go into the stopwatch, but Ning goes down. Xmithy gets himself away to safety. Plenty of damage finding its way onto Rookie now as well. Impact doesn't want to go any further. Team Liquid already used that Nico ultimate here. Finding not going to find its way onto anyone. Rookie below half HP, and Team Liquid come out on top of the fight.
Yeah, not only is it the kill, they got the TP off of Shy there also, which is pretty big, and Teal can look to threaten in this area. They can re-establish vision control and try to get IG to be checking into them and playing on the wrong side of the vision.
Note at home, only 2 control wards are on the dead Lee Sin. They bought one just now on Rise. There's no ability for IG to contest vision, but TL for their own side is going to push out and look for a better time.
Impact will constantly be fishing, trying to find these routes onto Invictus Gaming players. Remember, if he can pass it through a couple of minions, it roots for such an incredible duration. IG are not a team to be easily caught off guard, though. Although they did lose 1 in that last fight, they didn't take exceptional losses. It's not like they're going to overcommit to a fight that's already lost. They managed to cut those losses rather effectively, and they're still in a spot where they're able to go blow for blow with TF.
You do have to point out, though, it does feel like JackeyLove is just finding more farm. He is, around 1,000 gold ahead of Doublelift here, and that certainly can be relevant. Doublelift, has closed the gap somewhat, but JackeyLove is closing in on that 3-item spike for Xayah, and as you get towards that IE Essence Reaver, as well as your Zeal item, you are so powerful in these team fights, and Doublelift, with a low mobility champion here, is certainly someone that can be jumped onto and picked off, where the Xayah has more agency on her own.
But ladies and gentlemen, we're pushing on to the point where TL has to starting the Baron and turning with these vision exhaustion moments. Again, look at the inventories. Only a control ward on the Rakan. If IG look to try to contest vision, they're a very squishy lineup. There is no super tank to walk up, so pushing out your waves is what we see IG doing. When they start being pushed out, that's where TL want to move and try to force that back.
Exactly, and Teal have to be able to make that decision. Do you answer side waves, or do you actually start up the objective? Because if you are sitting there waffling back and forth, unable to decide what to do, you are in trouble. And look at that 1v1 there. Rookie putting out so much damage so easily, and he has the 2-level advantage, as well as plus 80 CS over Impact.
And the question becomes, if this game goes on another 10 minutes longer, if Team Liquid is not able to find an opportunity to force the issue and set the pace of the game themselves, who's ever going to answer this Rise in a side lane? Who's going to be able to deal with Rookie? Because I don't think there is someone.
I mean, you talk about a game state where IG, despite right now having no Baron control, take the Baron, then the 1-3-1 is almost unanswerable. So right now, TL have to take their opportunities. Ning's on the flank.
TL getting caught in a good through attack. Valon's able to find the initiation. Ning's got the kick down on the double. Who's going to be in some trouble. Shy into multiple people. That's a slicing maelstrom if I've ever seen one. Team Liquid going to be losing some carries. Impact makes his way into the fight, but Jackie lets the feathers fly and gets himself out of danger. Xmithy and CoreJJ still looking to find the kill, but they won't be able to do it. And Invictus Gaming prove why they're the reigning world champions.
They destroy TL. 4-4-0 there, wiping Doublelift off the map as Ning is in the right place at the right time, and they're going to Baron.
We said Team Liquid needed to be able to find some sort of an issue to force, dictate the pace of the game. IG says, let us show you how it's done. They were slightly behind, but now, baby, they are oh so far ahead. Baron plus a 3,000 gold lead for IG.
Team Liquid had the opportunity to make this game about their Baron turn. Instead, they tried to answer IG's ace in the hole, their ability to play 3 lanes. And during those answers, the proactive team, once again at MSI 2019, takes the spoils. They wipe out Team Liquid. And that reality, the one with the Baron buff and 3 lanes, it's now.
And that's why playing against a team like IG are so terrifying. You have to be decisive because the longer you give them, the more likely they are to find a play like this, to set up the ability to collapse on you from multiple angles. And we saw that right here. Ning coming around from behind, right as Baolan is ready to come in from the side. Their team makes the collapse faster. The TP is in earlier. Doublelift kicked right into the squad, and despite his flash, he cannot escape from the Shy, who has flash to follow.
Exactly. It's Orianna and Varus. We've talked about this multiple times. They need predictable team fights. A ninja behind you and a secondary TP from your top laner is not the reactive scenario they wanted. So unfortunately, big advantage now. And look at this gold graph. It was all within the grasp, and out of nowhere, you're trying to clap your hands and see it changed so quickly.
And IG is not the kind of team to sit around and slowly build those small leads like we discussed last game, mentioning SKT and that more traditional risk-averse play style. This is the kind of team that says, we've got Baron, let me show you what a tower dive looks like now. I want to see specifically how they play out the next 2 minutes of this Baron power play. 2,500 gold already lead they've got from it, and you can guarantee they're looking for more.
I mean, we have seen IG so many times. First team fight win is the Baron. Second team fight win, that's the game.
They're pushing up here onto the mid lane tier 1, which has stood the test of time so far, but that test is quickly going to ramp up in difficulty as the Shy and Jackie Love will stand near this cannon minion, allow it to put those pot shots in. Ning will be putting in some solo work on the bottom lane tier 2. That will fall around the same time. 4 turrets now that count for Invictus Gaming. 6,000 the total lead. IG pushing 4 man middle, 1 in the bottom lane. Somebody's got to go deal with Ning. It's going to be Impact, but that means your big team fighter, your surprise initiation, is not available in mid. And that means IG have no fear. Xmithy over the wall might be ready to do something, but Liquid recognizes this is not a fight they win.
I mean, look at the top right corner of your screen. It's a 5,000 gold Baron buff power play already, and they're going to break the base.
IG does not stop, and Liquid finds no opportunity to pull the trigger to make it happen. Rookie's going in. CoreJJ down to 20% HP. Redemption to make sure he stays alive, but it's 2 inhibitors in the dirt for Team Liquid. Invictus Gaming are pushing straight into the heart of the base.
Yeah, Invictus looking like they just want to close this one out. TL not feeling like they can look for the engage. No strong form of surprise engage is available on this team, but they may just have to go for it.
Ning's got the flash. He's looking for the Dragon's Rage. Able to find it down onto Impact. Going to be bursted down instead. Doublelift's going to find that kill, but it's 1 Nexus turret out of the picture. IG continuing to press forward. They are in a 4 versus 5, but it doesn't even appear to bother them too much. Xmithy tunneling forward, looking to find the flash. Play instead going to be killed instantly. Liquid not on the same page, and IG hits them with the whole damn book. CoreJJ's gone. Impact's gone. Team Liquid is gone. And Invictus Gaming will go 8-0.
Invictus Gaming absolutely turn it up in this game. Close for 20-25 minutes, but 1 team fight. They take the Baron and they just close it out immediately.
This team is so swift. As soon as they find just a little bit of an edge, they will cut you down with it, no mercy. Invictus Gaming show once again how quickly they can go from 0 to 100.
And Team Liquid come away with an honorable loss. But it's too late for honorable losses. It's already the 8th game they've played in the best-of-1 stage. Yes, they had the game in their hands for a while, and we said, to start up the Baron, they got one chance where the enemy ran out of control wards, and they didn't go then. The next time, there was a flank from Ning, and the game was over swiftly in that play. You get one chance. You get one against Invictus Gaming. You don't get two.
Yeah, you certainly don't. Their engage is just so damn good. They're always able to find these fights, force these fights, it feels like, no matter what the game state is, and that is just such a good example of that one more time.
Invictus Gaming find themselves yet another impressive win that goes from Baron to Nexus in the blink of an eye. But we've got the State Farm Analyst Desk ready to tell you all about it. Take it away, Dash.
Thank you very much, Captain Flowers. The undefeated streak remains alive for Invictus Gaming, now 8-0 at the conclusion of Day 4 MSI groups. TL, though, they did put up a fight. I mean, you know, Papa Smithy said maybe too late for an honorable loss. I'm going to call it an honorable loss, as honorable as any of the other losses have been to IG.
Yeah, I mean, that game was definitely an emotional roller coaster, Dash. In the early game, IG absolutely clapped Team Liquid. Ning smites away the minion, lands the Q, then the flash goes off, and it seems like 2 seconds later, you see the bottom lane, Invictus Gaming get a 2v2 kill onto double lift, and then a repeat gank as well. Smithy's gonna come down here for Team Liquid and take us through it.
So this is where I start to have some faith from Invictus for, you know, Team Liquid, but then the teleport comes through. So at every stage of this game, or at least the early portions of the game, Invictus Gaming were just styling on them.
And the flashes, the late flashes there is kind of what spelled disaster in a sense for TL early on.
PSA, if an auto attack of any kind has started and you flash, it will guarantee to kill you unless you flash into the fog of war out of vision of the enemy.
Or unless you regen enough health in the amount of time that the auto attack is traveling the extra distance, but that's in the weeds. No, an incredible early game from Ning in particular, and the bot lane out of IG to set them up for what looked to be another steamroll in favor of IG. And then Impact coming up big in the mid lane. 4 for 0 for TL, puts them right back in it.
I don't know if it's a controversial statement, but this is how I feel. Impact is the best player for TL at this tournament. This guy with the Jace, with the Aatrox, now with this massive ultimate of Nico in the mid lane. Every look that I'm getting from him, everyone thought he was going to be a liability. I'm solid. I'm like, Impact is not the problem here.
Impact is definitely not the problem. Impact is the solution.
Yes.
That right there was the turnaround that gave us hope in the game. Huge Pop Blossom is able to get the 4 kills and allow, you know, some hope here for Team Liquid. I was also pretty happy that after the way that the early game went, they did not tilt off the face of the earth. You know, being able to retain focus like that and come back in a game is very big.
This is what I really wanted out of Team Liquid, essentially. Whenever you have, you know, pushing lanes, good lanes for yourselves, we just needed them to rotate to the play. Oftentimes they get caught out, you know, either farming out the lane when a skirmish is happening off to the side. Finally get to see Team Liquid matching Invictus Gaming in these fights.
This is all with the lens, of course, that we expected IG to win this game. So I'm just trying to find positives where I can here.
Right, because inevitably that team fight comes where Invictus takes their moment.
And unfortunately, Raz was just talking about getting them to rotate to the play, but it was just too late this time around. It was Invictus Gaming who pulled the trigger, they got the first punch, and they just slammed TL before Nico even got there.
So good here in the team fight. It was actually insane. Ning with the kick, the guy with the ultimate coming through on Kennen. They absolutely destroyed Team Liquid.
It's not the most stellar score line to be posting for MasterCard Player of the Game, 3, 4, and 3. But again, you have to acknowledge the early game plays that he made, and then in that crucial team fight, which netted them the Baron. And then from there, it was the same old story for IG. Doesn't take them long after the first Baron generally to close out the game.
Yeah, active, constantly. In fact, after getting the Baron, what I love about the efficiency of being able to do it, the strongest members were in the mid lane. You had Ning actually split pushing the bots out of the map, joining them. It feels like whenever you see Invictus Gaming with a Baron buff, you're reminded of like the old SKT, the idea of that one Baron kill, where you have to fight them on that inhibitor run. Otherwise, they just take the game.
And I think, you know, they are sitting undefeated. I am going to raise that question not about the 10-0 anymore, but about whether or not IG might even drop a game this tournament. You know, how likely are they to maybe even lose a game? Because we see those looks, we see sometimes the over-aggression, we do see some teams make solid plays to maybe put IG in an uncomfortable position, yet they always seem to snag it back.
What's interesting is was actually having a conversation with Jad, and it was the idea of Invictus Gaming clearly have the best players, but they don't have the best teamwork. And you can see some of those like over-eager, over-aggression, they're not quite all on the same page at once, but it's like a split second because maybe 2 seconds later, suddenly they look incredible and that team fighting from the LPL really takes over.
Well, I disagree with the whole, you know, they don't have the best teamwork, but I certainly believe that it's much more attainable for SKT and G2 to reach that. And from the games we saw in particular, I keep going back to SKT, but that is the best way to be able to hold on to your lead when you're able to attain that. And so many teams in this tournament were able to get early game leads versus Invictus Gaming. So if you have G2 and SKT in that same situation, certainly they'll lose a game. They lost a game when they were in the LPL playoffs versus like TOP. So teams have done it. You just have to put in the amount of work as like analysts, coaches, to be able to see the right position to put yourself in that.
And Kobe, you mentioned that the expectation here was an IG victory. So then from the side of TL, does this loss, in a sense, inspire some amount of confidence?
I'm not going that far.
Not going that far.
I mean, I think the phrase honorable loss was a good one.
Okay.
So I'll stick with that.
We'll keep it at that. We will take the honorable loss. MasterCard, though, is here celebrating the best supporters esports has to offer by rewarding fans of the day with an upgraded experience. You're getting a look at Jared from Australia, Sean from Ireland, and Brett and Megan from South Africa, all English teachers who now live in Hanoi and became friends through playing League. Now they celebrate their friendship by cheering on Team Liquid, G2, and of course, Fongvu Buffalo. Game 6 has Fongvu Buffalo challenging SKT. We'll see if they can keep their dreams of knockouts alive after the break.
네, 방금 경기 승리한 IG의 루키 선수 모셨습니다. 승리 정말 축하드려요. 8전 전승 중이신데 소감이 어떠세요?
Welcome back for our final game of the day. Hometown favorites, Fongvu Buffalo, going up against SKT.
And, you know, PVB, they would have been watching on as SKT picked up a pretty clean victory just a couple of games ago. But we know they're a team that can mix it up and get aggressive. And that's what I want to see from them here. That's what's worked against SKT. They can be caught in rotation, just like we saw from Team Liquid in matches past. So because of that, I think an aggressive style and a way to also stop Clid from just taking over the tempo of the early game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And because PVB took down G2, you have to say, hey, there's a chance, right? There is a chance going up here against SKT. And I have to give a lot of credit to Meliodas, who was such a strong performer in that game, went legendary on the Rek'Sai. I think he did look good throughout play-ins and had been subbed out due to illness, I do believe. But he is going to have a very tough challenge going up against Clid, who has been outstanding.
Yeah, SKT coming off the win that they just previously got 2 games ago means they're already warmed up. They're looking to make this one happen. Easy breezy 1-2-3-zy. But Fongvu Buffalo would love to put that second win on the table. Remember, this is the last game of the day, so that means only tomorrow's games remain of group stage, and then only the 4 top teams get to continue playing in knockouts. If Fongvu Buffalo wants a chance at that, got to start racking up some wins.
Yeah, they definitely do. I mean, we're down to the final game here of the second last day of groups. There's not a lot of time to get these wins, certainly. And you have to feel like it needs to be a messy game for PVB to be able to take down SKT. You know, earlier we saw SKT up against Flash Wolves. That was so methodical, so clean, you know, so very kind of slow and well thought out from SKT that is not the type of game you think Fongvu will ever be able to match SKT, and they need to pick up the pace. They need to make SKT make mistakes.
But then from the SKT perspective, you know, on the one hand, more of the same is not a bad thing. They had, as you say, a very dominating win in their game earlier today. But you can't help but stand back and say, IG made games look so effortless with Baron. They just closed on one Baron, 8,000 gold Baron buff power play, and it was all over. I know that's hard to ask and doesn't apply to every team comp, but I want to see SKT make the game look as effortless as Korean teams have in the past.
It almost seems like the perfect contrast between the old and the new. During the Korean golden age of League of Legends, this was how the top-tier games were played. It was very slow. It was very methodical. It was a 2 or 3 Baron game, and you would whittle them down and make those low-risk plays that would ultimately win it over a long period of time. Now that we're in the area where IG are the reigning world champions, it's fast, it's fun, it's definitely not Dominion. It's just League of Legends in your face.
That's true. It's definitely not Dominion. And for SKT, you know, they certainly have the ability to take down these top teams. The question just remains, you know, can you play a game where you can be able to match and absorb that pressure from IG? You don't always have to be the one, you know, dictating the pace of the game. Responsive League of Legends can work and can be very successful with the right comp and with the right players.
So the question is, what does an SKT for fun game look like? Because we've seen the fun that IG has had. They've thrown out the unique picks. You know, they come in big favorites against Fongvu Buffalo. We saw the Vi, and that actually ended up looking pretty damn legitimate. Maybe you just run it again and say, hey, maybe Clid tanks a Vi ban in future series. Or maybe, just maybe, it gets more interesting from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible, but I do think on the side of SKT, you still want to guarantee, you know, that top 4 spot. You want to lock in knockouts. You want to make
I'm not asking for the Quinn, all right? This time, I think the Quinn is a bridge too far.
Well, I mean, you say, what does an SKT fun game look like? I pose the question, is fun even in SKT's mind right now? Remember,
I think winning is fun for Faker.
Yeah, this is a team, and specifically a player in Faker, that just had a reputation and an expectation of always being the best, wanting to go back to that former glory, and fun, that can come afterwards.
Well, it seems like the fun is around the corner. I believe the players are all in the lobby and ready to go. So Captain Flowers, take it away.
All right, here we go into Champion Select for the last match of day number 4. Fongvu Buffalo against SKT. And the first ban from PVB is going to be one of those champions that causes a super safe version of League of Legends to be played. They'll bench that Kench.
I mean, the Kench is all about the fun denial. So far, so good. What we're hoping for in this game between SKT and PVB. Like we've mentioned, SKT, big favorites in both their series today. But all we can do is look on their side and see if they can show us the decisive decisive gameplay that has been the hallmark of this tournament.
Yeah, these second bans here, no surprise at all. Teddy, Deathless, as you mentioned earlier on, the Kalista has looked fantastic. And Meliodas, the Rek'Sai, which he used to take down G2, he really was the driving force in that game.
And not only is Teddy exceptional at it, it's also another champion that provides a lot of save power. You can never catch the enemy support when Kalista's nearby because she will always pull him to safety. They're denying that save. Sylas also going to be taken off the board, has been an incredibly high priority flex pick throughout the course of the tournament so far. Not surprised to see that one removed either.
And where SKT fall back from here will be interesting because something like Varus Braum, I guess, is the safest thing. You can take an Ezreal lane as well. They just aren't being given respect for things like Lucian Galio, these kill lanes, or Lucian Braum kill lanes that other people have been running, very early game lanes. That hasn't been SKT's focus. We'll see if anything changes here. Of the flex picks, Jace, Kali, Sylas, all gone. 2 left over, 1 snapped up by PvP.
So many times we see it. Ryze is left open. Ryze is first pick by the blue side. Very common trend so far over the course of group stage here. And it's SKT's turn to respond.
Aurelia is available, though, if SKT did want to go to it. That was another flex pick that people certainly had mentioned, and Faker is a very strong Aurelia player. We did get to see him bring it out against IG. Unfortunately, that was not a very long display. Certainly, I think not on him entirely, but would be excited to see him bring back out the Aurelia.
Well, the Galio's locked in for the side of SKT. We've seen plenty of play with this champion as well. Not only having those defensive options in terms of protecting people with the heroic entrance, but also just able to go so aggro. Flash taunts can really start off fights in any way you need them to start, and they're also going to be picking up the Jarvan there in the jungle.
Yeah, for a duo that does something but doesn't necessarily pigeonhole a bot lane, Jarvan Galio is kind of knocking you over the head in terms of availability. Will always control space, whatever role these champions are in. So definitely seems like team fighting, or at least being alluded to by the first 2 picks.
And if Fong Vu Buffalo try to get scrappy, all of a sudden they find themselves thrown in the dunk bucket. The Cataclysm plus the heroic entrance means that whole area is controlled and controlled heavily by the side of SKT. Fong Vu Buffalo will have to be very respectful of that as they pick up what is likely their own bottom lane in the Kai'Sa and the Nautilus.
Yeah, and the Kai'Sa is always a nice denial away from that Galio. Many teams have been using this combination to great effect. And it will perhaps, it will be that Lucian Galio, as you talked about earlier. This is not a kill lane that SKT had been really showing. It had been fairly high priority for some of the other squads here. And they are going to get their own crack at trying to play that lane dominant style.
And I love to see this because something different from SKT. It's not Ezreal. Let's let the support roam around. We're playing through a bot lane, and Jarvan could definitely have a bot lane focus this game. There's been definitely a lot of talk also about the Nautilus versus Galio support matchup. I know some coaches around MSI think of it as a counter matchup for the Nautilus. What I want to focus on instead is the synergy with the Kai'Sa, just because Nautilus, with all his forms of hard CC, applies the plasma so fast that you can get 2 rounds of the plasma explosion in kind of the blink of an eye the moment you hit level 6 on the Naut.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but the ultimate is that guaranteed path in, point and click ultimate onto the back line. That gives Kai'Sa that guaranteed stack of plasma, ult back through to try to have that assistance. Ryze also a tremendous amount of crowd control there. So certainly a lot of ways to be applying that plasma.
Well, as we get into the second part of the bans, SKT is saying, all right, we already denied Meliodas one of his main picks in the Jarvan. We already banned out the Rek'Sai in the first half. Let's go ahead and take Lee and Elise both off the table as well and really force him down this jungle tier list.
Now, the Fiora ban on the PvP side is an interesting one. It is, of course, a favorite of Khan in years past, and the reason why I say it's interesting is it makes me think they want to play something like Aatrox top and get away with it as a priority lane into things like Vlad, but also just a safe overall around pick because it can be so powerful in that top lane. Right now, SKT, they can still flex here. Again, the Aurelia has made it all the way through to the second round despite being the 5th and final remaining flex pick.
Flex is locked in indeed. Aurelia picked, so often banned these days in these matches where the flex picks draw so much aggro during the ban phase, but that one's locked in for either Khan or Faker, whoever needs to pilot it. And now the answer for PvP is, do you play the Ryze into it, or do you have something else you'd rather do?
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that it did actually make it through both rounds of bans leaves me wondering, does PvP have something special planned for this? If it were to go top lane, I do think things like Jax are such a powerful answer, but because SKT are on red side, they have the less pick. This is a flexible pick that you can move around the map, which makes it certainly more difficult for PvP to do that. We did see in play-ins things like Renekton coming through oftentimes as an answer, and this is I don't know if I'm gonna. Okay, so it's gonna be Kayn jungle, Hecarim top here. Very, very interesting, and that makes sense along the lines of the Fiora ban. That is a terrible matchup for Hecarim that we have seen play out here at MSI. Certainly, can go very heavily in the favor of the Fiora unless there is heavy jungle intervention, which we have seen, I believe, actually SKT demonstrating with Clid and Khan.
So with the Aurelia locked in, they have a lot of options here. They will go the Kennen after all, just for a ranged matchup to just punish the Hecarim over time. That's the final call that's made by SKT. You can definitely say it's a lot of CC synergy to come over with the Kai'Sa come team fights. I kind of take your point though. It's gonna be very interesting to see if they can baby this Kayn through the early laning phase, because definitely in top you're gonna like things. The flexes will continue, but Ryze support, that's a bit much.
Yeah, definitely is. Not going to be tricked by that one.
Come on, he's got a root.
And yeah, okay.
Lane presence,
Take a
baby.
deep breath there, Captain Flowers. I'm going to ask you to calm down. But, I'm so excited to see if they are going to be able to do it. I tend to think it's going to be very difficult because Kennen is such a preferential matchup over the Hecarim. They have a very powerful bottom lane as well. There are areas which Clid can attack. You tend to favor SKT in both the 2v2s and 3v3s oftentimes as well. So, Meliodas is going to have to play very carefully to get through the early stages.
He's going to have to play carefully, but he'll also have to play aggressively enough to make sure he transforms in time. Remember, base Kayn, not a very threatening champion. You really come online once you get that evolution, most likely going for the red form because it is traditionally the more powerful one, and especially against this composition, Blue's not going to find too many targets, and that means early scraps, finding that damage, getting those orbs, because if he can't do it, those fights, those are already in favor of SKT, could quickly go even more so towards that side.
Great segment from Dracos explaining those same points in even more depth, Captain Flowers, during Countdown today. So all about the Kayn, as it always is.
On to Summoner's Rift, the final time of the day here. Taking a look at the runes picked up by both sides. You can tell I already was 99% sure it was going to be Red Kayn. Now I'm 100% sure because he has the Conqueror. That's not going to do much for Blue Kayn because you're looking to just snapshot somebody, so that's obviously where he's going to be looking to go. Conqueror for Hecarim, pretty standard stuff for him, but one important thing to note, it is the Ignite teleport version of top Hecarim that we used to see so often, but it means you're a very vulnerable gank target with no flash.
Yeah, you certainly are, and Clid going Electrocute is going to give him more early ganking power than that of the Conqueror, which is more suited to those long extended fights. In the 2v2s, that initial burst from the Electrocute can be so important.
But I'm so excited to see how does Clid set up, because almost every game he's played, he said, this is my lane, and I'm sticking to it. I'm going there again and again and trying to create a mismatch in victories and defeats. And we ruminated on how this is actually SKT heavily attacking bot side with the Galio Lucian that loves jungle backup. Not quite as flexible as Kalista to jump in and jump out for all trades, usually just hard commits. The reason why I bring this up is if you're trying to counter gank bot lane, if you do set up a start there, obviously base Kayn is going to be awful, provides almost nothing in a counter gank scenario if it ends up being bot lane focused. However, to Captain Flowers' point, the Ignite Hecarim can work with top lane focus, even given that it's a Kennen. So there's actually a lot of different ways this early game can play out, and that could shape the great part of the mid game.
And Meliodas is always a guy to watch for Fongfu Buffalo, right? This is the one who can get them really rolling. This is the guy that they felt like not their full selves when he was out because he had to be replaced for a moment, but now that he's back, the team has been able to find that one win. We'll see what they can do against SKT as you can see Meliodas farming up that Krug camp.
We're going straight bottom lane, Captain Flowers.
Bottom lane. We'll see if this level 2 gank from Clid can work. He moves through the lane into the brush and really wants to get things going here nice and early. Mata walking up into the brush, making sure Pallet has to stand far back enough that he can't sneak through the brush and ward that forward one on SKT's side.
Yeah, and credit to PvB. They're playing this safe. They're sitting back. This was a lot of time invested actually here by Clid. He went red straight to bot, then waited in that brush. This is now 3 camps to the 1 on the side of Meliodas, and he is looking like he wants to perhaps play around mid to start charging up that red form. You have to be attacking those melee champions, which leads you to believe Faker may be where he's going.
And as Meliodas finds all these camps, one thing you have to remember about Kane, the champion is exceptional at farming, especially chicken camps. #1 chicken farmer in League of Legends. You can see just W plus Q nearly kills all the small ones, picks up the large one immediately after.
And if we can call out the scenario where every bot side 3v3 is lopsided to SKT, PvB should as well. If they had died to the gank, it should have been an expected one. In this case, they trade up, they power farm the Raptors like you mentioned, and right now Meliodas has a very nice level lead and definitely gold lead over Cliff.
He'll farm up that Scuttle Crab there in the top side river. You can see right now the stakes of what's on the line here as SKT will secure a spot in the knockout stage if they win this game. Fongvu Buffalo, plenty of work to do if they still want to fight for that themselves. As we're going to see a replay of a cannon minion.
He got it!
Unfortunate there. So Khan making an unlucky flash forward, not
Or
much.
the utmost of asserting dominance.
Exactly.
I don't need this flash here.
Well, that's one way to look at it, I suppose, but Khan will not have that summoner spell now, which means it could be a much easier gank for Meliodas if Khan stays this far extended.
He did it very conspicuously, so I hope it was with his chest out. We know that Khan can be a trash
I mean,
talker,
Zeros
but,
doesn't have flash. He's in ITP. It's only fair, you know.
Look, we're casters. We're going to have to go with Occam's razor. It's a whoopsie. It's definitely a whoopsie from Khan, and it's something that can be exploited. Remember, Ignite Hecarim starts to push back in. There's no flash. There's only the lightning rush to escape.
But they are looking like they want to set up this dive. Zeros has been harassed down, and they may go for it.
Conqueror Hecarim with the Spirit of Dread heals up a lot over time, but if you kill him instantly, he's not that tanky. Clid looking to make sure he secures that CC combo, and there you go. First blood to SKT.
Really impressive for SKT to wait as long as they did. They waited for the end of the charge bot lane, though.
They're not going to be waiting much longer here on the bottom side. Big Koro getting himself away as Palad's going to hold off Teddy and Mata, but that's 3 summoner spells from the side of PvB expended there in trade for 2 from Mata.
Yeah, SKT trading up on both sides. Meliodas making his way down here. We'll see if they can punish.
Heal used there by Teddy to start things off. Mata still channeling the taunt, looking to find someone. Won't be getting it. Khan makes his way into the bottom lane now, but won't find a whole lot.
Still a great gank from Meliodas, forcing that out will mean Zeros has more time to try to catch up. He can push in this wave, reset once more, and reduce some of that deficit that he was put into, because that experience he lost was so critical in the 1v1, and now that really has been evened out.
He's going for a roam as well, just walking around, removing a plant, getting the sort of space that you never get in a range versus melee matchup as the Hecarim. So it's going to find him, but not going to be taking any aggressive EQs.
Yeah, and look at the inventory of Clid as well. You can see the longsword being picked up early on. This indicates to me the Warrior Jarvan as opposed to the Cinderhulk that you frequently see, coupled with the Electrocute that was already mentioned. This means really, really powerful ganks, especially once he gets one more level and Cataclysm comes online.
And also in terms of the Kane interaction, he doesn't want to play into the heavy expectation of Ras that's kind of confirmed, like you mentioned, Flowers, with the Conqueror, and just be a heal bot, just be a sack of meat that you can and get a huge heal during a team fight. So he just goes for the longsword, and it gives him a bit more early game oomph.
So clear out this bottom side Scuttle Crab, maintain control over that one, provide a little bit of extra support for the bottom lane as well, as we've seen how aggressive Teddy and Mata like to be. Extra vision in the river will always help make sure those plays can happen.
Yeah, and we can see Meliodas taking away another set of those chickens. You know, he's out to a pretty strong early game as far as the farm does go. This is actually his first base at 6:30 into the game. We'll see what buy he has, but definitely power farming very heavily. He wants to be getting up to that level 6 stage, but he also does need his transformation, and he has not really been fighting very much on this map, which leads me to believe he's going to be very far away from getting it.
And an important thing to mention about the blue smite specifically for Kane, you do see the champion often go for a red smite when he's going red form because it helps you become such an incredible duelist, but blue smite gives you this bonus advantage of always being able to use your ultimate. Speaking of ultimates, in the mid lane, Faker's going to make this one happen onto Null, continuing to go deep underneath the turret as Clid stands by to soak the shots and make sure he's in no danger. SKT making a 2-kill game.
Both their turret dives have been very good. We were cut off discussing how on the top side they waited out the charge from the Hecarim and then went for it because, of course, couldn't take those extra turret shots, didn't have the flash on the cannon. In the mid lane as well, damage output is known. They get out safely, and topside Clid, his job's not done.
Yeah, Zeros with the wave, pushing to his opponent. They're going in.
Zeros is stunned up.
down.
There comes your Wombo combo, and the Cataclysm is down. No way for the horse to escape.
That was just awful from Zeros. That is such an obvious gank. As soon as the ultimate comes out from Khan, you need to immediately drop your ult in retreat and just count yourself lucky that you survive. Instead, waiting far too long there, not only does he expend his ultimate, he gives over the kill.
Seemed to have some sort of hope that it was just Khan trying to push in the minion wave and harass, but very quick confirmation and no chance to be ultra reactive, and only a blue buff can come back from it. We're going to watch the two plays. Remember, this is twofold from Clint. Comes mid lane, a lot of junglers pull out here, goes in, gets the electrocute damage, and those long swords were important.
Yeah, and you'll notice he was tanking those turret shots for Faker to be able to go forward, making sure there was no chance of that dive going wrong. And you know, Zeros being held down pretty heavily here. You need that Triforce so much on the Hecarim, and he is such a long, long way away from working on it.
Meliodas is farming chickens. Clid's farming champions, making sure he's been involved on all these kills so far. And the top lane has already evolved into an over 1,000 gold lead for Khan's Kinnan. You think Kinnan's a lane bully normally. Give him that kind of an advantage, and he is just going to start taking your lunch money.
With only a turret plate and 2 assists, feels like he's been pretty lucky on the sacks of gold, I'm going to say. 'Cause that feels like a really big lead for what it looks like in terms of the CS numbers. Khan will definitely take it, of course. Thing is, it's so hard for PvP to swing this game because their jungler doesn't really add much when he shows up. You kind of want Hecarim to be TPing in, and Hecarim's got his own problems. So right now, SKT can kind of be fearless in the face of the enemy.
Yeah, and this is some of the concern that I kind of had from PvP. When we talked about what sort of a game we wanted to see them play, it was chaotic, it was aggressive, it was nonstop action from the start. Kayn is trying to avoid everyone in power farm. The Hecarim is so far behind the curve, and it feels hard to think, you know, at what time is this Kayn actually going to be online? You know, Rost is still such a far way off that by the time he's actually going, is he even really relevant anymore?
Faker trying to get the stun there onto Null. You can almost guarantee that Clid's coming in with his own follow-up if that lands, but Null just barely gets out of the hitbox of it. Continue farming up here in the mid lane on the rise. Does have a very slight CS advantage over his opponent. Meliodas spotted out there by a control ward as Null gets himself stunned, but he has Pallet nearby in case SKT looks to make another play with it. Clid coming around from the side, walks over a control ward, but is not going to be dissuaded. Null immediately jumped on as here comes the heroic entrance from the Galio. The follow-up CC is down. Null's going to be taken out. Manta secures the kill as Pallet has to flash away. More damage coming through, goes into the stopwatch to dodge the Vanguard's edge, but more damage is on its way in. PvP have already lost 2. It may be 3. The taunt onto Meliodas will seal the deal. They will lose Mata in return, but SKT go 3 for 1.
Yeah, and SKT just too ready for that play, despite the fact that Pallet had roamed. Mata knew it was happening. He's in position for the counter gank there with the hero's entrance, and SKT make it look easy. And on the side, Teddy was winning the duel against Big Koro. That was almost a 4th kill going the way of SKT.
And Clid is their decisiveness factor. He doesn't care that he's in a control ward. There's not an EQ range. He knows that with Galio backing him up, Jarvan and Galio do what it always says on the tin and make the play work. I was impressed with the mechanics to immune the ultimate there, but sadly, it's just a bit of gold, so just a bit of flash. They still pick up all the kills in the back end, becoming a very one-sided game at 11 minutes.
The small silver lining on the cloud is Meliodas finding himself a kill in return onto Mata there. Of course, because he's also involved in a fight, it will get him closer towards that transformation. But still not having it means he's still not where he needs to be. As you can see, Faker putting down some vision there in the river. SKT knows how far ahead they are in this game so far. Look at this bottom jungle on the side of Fongbu Buffalo. You can see Clid and Mata moving up, sitting down control wards as well as those regular vision wards, making it so if anybody's moving around in the Fongbu Buffalo side, they're aware of when and where they're doing it.
And those are turret diving wards, Captain Flowers. The Warrior Jarvan wants to go and make some more aggressive plays, go on the longest route possible, and he'll take a Kayn if he finds one.
And I want to bring up the point that you mentioned about the Hecarim needing the Trinity Force, because you can see Faker's Irelia already having his Trinity Force ready to go as Hecarim has a Ruby Crystal. Not exactly comparable between the two itemization sets, especially considering the Hecarim had to rush the completed Mercury Treads to try to keep himself safe against the Kinnan. Faker's going to continue flashing and dashing here around the mid lane as Mata's going in that bottom side jungle. They don't even need to dive the turret. Fongbu Buffalo's coming straight to them. Big Koro tries to dash his way out with a killer instinct. Combine it with the flash and he'll be okay. But now they're trying to counterattack. It's Zeros into the middle of 4. He's not going to be surviving too much longer, and Teddy will take the kill. It's 2-0 for SKT so far. Faker wants to make it 3. Pallet stunned up underneath the tier 2, and he is not long for this world. SKT is running over the Buffalo.
Yeah, PVB feeling they needed to make a punch back. They're trying to get something, but Meliodas is already down. Big Koro already was getting pushed backwards, and as Zero's TP's in, as you pointed out, yes, he had a base to buy the Sheen and the other longsword, but he is so far away from being relevant in this game, and SKT know it and can run the map.
But people screaming for a killer instinct from SKT should watch replays like this. They're way deep. They're fighting near the inner turret at only about 13 minutes into the game. Even the TPs, like you say, the oomph behind it's not there. Great stasis coming through from Teddy. Big Koro can't even get access into the fight.
Yeah, I mean, Big Koro had no sums at that point, had already blown the ults. There's no way he could follow up, even if it was a more powerful Hecarim, and SKT are absolutely running over this game. Turret plates are not even down.
And this is a good contrast to what we saw last game when we saw Invictus Gaming fall behind and say, hey, this is a team that knows how to minimize losses, not overcommit to a fight that has already left their court. Fangbu Buffalo do overcommit. The teleport from the Hecarim. Big Koro and Pallet sticking around way too long, and it just means that a small loss becomes a big one. And they're now in a spot where they're down 5,500 gold, 13 minutes in. Pallet now could be in some trouble, taking some damage. Tries to return some onto Khan here, but Faker's made his way into the fight. It's going to be 2 versus 3, but SKT are not even afraid. Ignite used, but Pallet will not be dropped. So if you're Fangbu Buffalo, you got to worry about how bad that fight looks with a man advantage.
I mean, it's still a base Kane. He still hasn't even gotten the upgrade at 14 minutes in, so Meliodas, still not really online. And when you give a jungler like Clit so much room to work, you are seeing what the game can look like.
Monta going to be engaged on here on the bottom side. Pallet looking to make this one happen. Khan going to be taken low now as well. Meliodas trying to do something. He's going to be stunned up underneath the turret. Big Koro the one to fall. Zero's coming in, looking to grab some damage onto Khan, who goes into the stopwatch, keeping himself alive, trying to find a return kill here. It's Meliodas who gets away from the turret shot, and that's Fangbu Buffalo getting themselves a 2-for-1 in the bottom side. But at what cost? Faker's pushing up with the Rift Herald here in the mid lane. He's got Clid and Teddy at his sides, and they'll take down the tier 2.
Absolutely no answer to this. Plenty of AD on this Jarvan to keep the push going. Should be able to interrupt the final charge.
And they got the Ross. Finally, the transform does come through there from Meliodas just before 15, but a nice hook onto Teddy.
Pallet trying to make this one happen. Teddy very low on mana here as Null makes his way into the fight. Teddy's going to be taken very low. Kept alive now by Monta, and what a save! That's the heroic entrance. That's what it's made for.
That one hurts so much for PVB. Teddy so low, no flash. You have to think, great, we finally got a free pick. We finally are going to get some control. Instead, SKT answers, Teddy survives, and they take the dragon.
When even the lazy recalls and flashing in the face of your enemy under no pressure can't be inroads, then sadly, this game seems to be passing PVB by. SKT trying that aggression, being able to do it in style, and now PVB just trying to outnumber and find what kills they can.
Meliodas tries to go for a flash into a knockup with the Blade's reach, but unfortunately the reach isn't quite long enough. Khan's gonna get himself away as Big Koro gets himself solo killed in the top lane. Teddy makes sure of it.
Yeah, Teddy nicely played there for him, but on the side of PVB, you know how behind you are. They have to take risky plays. They have to look for these sort of picks. They are just not working out, and it is putting SKT even further ahead. But honestly, from this disadvantage, you can't sit back.
But from the very early game when Kane got not much of a start, we kind of laid it out there that PVB can't really fight back until a point. Jury's out on whether that point will ever be reached. Reason why I want to visit that is the other side is SKT have a lot of advantages they can push, and to their credit, they have. This has been a game a bit different to the previous 7 from SKT. Is it the opposition? Is it just a once-off? We can't know today, but we were focusing on whether SKT could show gameplay traits that would serve them well coming into taller opposition as the tournament goes on, and from that side, you give it a pass mark.
You certainly do, and now for me, the report card becomes how quickly can you close out this game?
Right.
Can you have that killer instinct to take the early Baron, to use that to close a game? Or will it be more of the standard SKT style? Take a Baron, get some more turrets, reset and play it out slow.
PVB trying to start the fight here onto Khan, who has completed the Zhonya's Hourglass first item, which means he'll have that stasis ready to go every 90 seconds. And you can see the gold difference on your screen right now, descending into the 8K territory. for the side of SKT, and Zeros gets himself dunked. There is no way out of that one.
That's the gray screen territory coming through for the Hecarim. They want this outer turret and continue the snowball that has already been on. By 20 minutes, 10,000 gold lead should be almost an inevitability. Teddy continues to power up, so do SKT.
Yeah, and it's these kind of games that for a top laner, for a damage dealer like the Hecarim feels so bad because you're so far behind the curve as far as damage, you cannot threaten anyone. And likewise, you don't have enough survivability to live through any of these fights, and it's so hard to feel like you have any relevance at any point in this game.
I mean, that's the double-edged sword of a carry top laner. If you get ahead, you are the fear of God in your opponents running into the team fights with the teleport. If you're behind, you're just wishing you picked a meatball the entire time, so at least you had some CC.
And it's why we focus on the big 5 flex picks, and we don't really include the jungle top flex pick Hecarim. Now, that wasn't even leveraged this game. They were taken in the same round of the drop on the blue side in the second round, but Hecarim's matchups can quickly turn away, and this was even after the early mistake from Khan. Very comfortable for the Kens.
Yeah, that's certainly the case. The one flex pick that I'm wondering if it should be added to the pool whatsoever is the Nico, which has been popping up more and more.
And Vladimir for some teams.
Certainly, and the Nico, you know, has had mixed success, but certainly does seem perhaps more promising.
Well, what's not promising right now is the outlook on this game for Fong Vu Buffalo. 8,500 gold down, not even 20 minutes into the game. Baker continuing to push up here on the bottom side, going after Big Koro. Lots of Buffalo members nearby. However, SKT is also coming down for the collapse. PVB smells it, and they get the hell out of town.
Map state here for SKT. Pretty dominant. Baron hasn't spawned, so we can't be talking about any misfires around that objective, but it's been a while since PVB have been able to explore that vision. So looking over some of the map states here and drawing a line.
The line of vision for SKT.
You hate to see.
Yeah, that's a very accurate line this time.
That's essentially none of your camps are available to you, and that is the line that has been put in place by SKT.
And that is the dream line of any team when you're on the winning side, because it says you're getting the minions or monsters we decide you can have.
SKT in full control here, and with Baron spawning in 10 seconds, with that next Ocean spawning here in a little bit over 30, you can bet that neutral objectives will continue to be the focus for them as they control the entirety of Summoner's Rift. I do want to see how fast they go for the Baron this time around. They don't have the Azir plus Kalista combo from last time in terms of the raw Baron shredding damage, but they're still so far ahead. They've still got so many items. You can see Lucian having the Blade of the Ruined King plus Essence Reaver in inventory. He will do plenty of damage to that. It's very easy to take it down. And when you compare it across the board, a Storm Razor plus the pieces of the next item for Big Koro, it's just not a comparison.
I believe you have the 2 evolves, but you have nothing else. You're very much just at the minimum there. But at level 10, you might not even have the 2 evolves. It lets you know that right now, still very much in the building block stage. And with that Baron, that's probably just the game end.
10% shy of the Supercharger evolve for Big Koro means he can't even have that stealth in the middle of the next fight. Khan and Zeros going 1 versus 1 here in the bottom lane. Zeros down a level up against Khan, and even if he tries to go for the all-in, he's still got to deal with the fact that there is that stasis.
Yeah, and he does have the Triforce, but unfortunately for him, you know, he's been so outpaced. When you look across the board at someone like Faker, he's on Triforce plus the Steric's already completed. And, you know, when the survivability, the luxury items start to come through for these members, it becomes harder and harder to take them down. There's Zhonya's, parts of a GA already there for Clid. There's the Steric's, likely a PD could be coming through as well here for Teddy, and you just won't be able to crest that mark.
And sometimes the items tell a story, and obviously you can say this one has more, that means they're going to win team fights, but the one that I actually want to talk about is both the Warrior Jarvan and the fact that it was a Zhonya's rush, very early Zhonya's from Kennen. It tells you we're fighting and we're brawling early. We're not going for Proto Belt, for lane control. They were with the mind of diving both the Hecarim and around the map, and it lets you show that they were jamming the accelerator based on their item choice.
And I think they're going to continue that, with Clid actually going back, you know, finishing the GA instead of trying to go to that Black Cleaver. That tells me you are looking for the one-punch fight, but PVB trying to catch Faker out.
Null makes the Realm Warp in there. Baron has been angered, so he's going to be putting some damage into these guys, but Meliodas now taking some of his own. Realizes it's probably time to retreat. Clid moves forward. Faker's not forced to even use the flash. SKT will expend the teleport there from Khan, making sure he's ready for the fight if it breaks out. Clid continuing to pressure forward, throw down the flag, get himself over the wall. Just in case somebody's sticking around, he's ready for that punish.
But from this far behind, 10,000 gold, forcing a teleport on your side is actually a win for PvP. So that's a good move from them. They couldn't turn it into anything. Hecarim going to be hitting on this outer bot lane turret. So it's just a straight up win from PvP. And now SKT, as you do when you're from ahead, you try to turn it into something.
SKT are saying, we've got a 10,000 gold lead. You may have gotten a tier 1 turret, but now we dare you to challenge us on this real objective.
He's got no wards to even TP on.
Control ward already down on top of the scuttle crab there to make sure SKT are aware of any wards that might be around for the side of Fongbu Buffalo. TP now being channeled by Zeros. He wants to make sure he's able to make it into the fight as it starts. Meliodas looking to find the knockup, won't be able to find anything. Big Coral under threat. Khan looking to go into the back line. Meliodas already expending the Khan, already expending the Kane ultimate. Is not going to be in a good spot. Vanguard's edge onto 2. Big Coral going to be in some trouble. Killer Instinct barely keeping him alive, but only for a moment. Null is now the target, and he will be torn to pieces. SKT find 3.
But only just, Captain Faz. They needed every bit of that 10,000 gold lead because they were trying to do this game in fast mode. They were skipping steps because they could. And that's what the best teams do. They understand when they're ahead. They overforce, but there should be big reward.
The reward is the Baron. 16-3 now for SKT. 11,500 gold up. They didn't even lose the Guardian Angel on their Jarvan. And let's take one more look at how it happened.
Yeah, here it is one more time. SKT do not go for the 50-50. They turn for the fight, and Khan shoving members out, but you can see Clid down very low. Khan chunked low as well, but it is up to the carries, Teddy and Faker here, to really make things happen.
Yeah, towards the back end, they're able to just get in there, use their flashes, and get the cleanup kills. The Baron's the primary objective. They'll take it. So while PvP able to get a little win and get that first teleport, the end result is Baron.
And now is when we get to answer the question posed earlier. Can SKT go for the jugular? You have a 12,000 gold lead. You have Baron ready to go, and you have everybody alive looking to push. How soon can you pop that Nexus? Right now, they're going to pop 2 members of Fongbu Buffalo. Null's got no way out. Meliodas will look to buy some time. Khan uses the stasis to keep himself alive. The red smite tick will not be enough. Zeros is farming the top lane. He has no TP, and SKT will march it down bot.
Yeah, I think they should be able to end right now with Zero still in the top lane, with 2 members already down on the side of PvP. SKT could try to push in here for the win.
SKT in 2 lanes at once. Khan making his way down to join up with the team. He did go back to heal up after nearly dying in the bottom lane fight, but 2 inhibs already in the dirt means things have gone from bad to worse for Fongbu Buffalo. They say, hey, there's no reason to continue fighting here. We're not going to end right now. Regroup, push up again as a group, and then end the game there. Khan in the 1 versus 1 against Zeros, able to take him down very low, but not quite finding the kill until he comes back in with the Proto Belt for the 1v1.
Definitely playing with his food on both sides there, but Zeros doesn't have the items to pull that off. The ults have been late defensively, which makes you wonder about the Hecarim pick that, as we mentioned, was not a flex pick. Last time we saw SKT first Baron, didn't break the base. We commented on how it was a pretty shallow lead, I believe an inner turret. The only thing they added, this time 2 inhibitors to SKT.
And you can see SKT now grouping up for the split push yet again. It's Faker in the mid lane to make sure the super minions that already exist are going to be enchanted with the Baron buff, while Clid, Mata, and Teddy march down top and look for that last lane of standing turrets. Realm Warp's not going to accomplish much of anything, but now that it's down, SKT are aware that that repositioning tool is no longer on the table. Tier 2 turret under siege, but it won't be for long, as it'll be dropped almost immediately. Faker will be buying some time here in the mid lane, now turning it right back onto the side of Fongbu Buffalo. Null just can't find any luck in these fights, and Meliodas will join him shortly. Clid continues the fight into the bottom side, onto Zeros and Pallet. Zeros gets away, Pallet will not, and SKT will clean this one up quick. 26 minutes in, 1v5 for Zeros isn't going to do much of anything. You wanted a swift win, there you go. SKT take it home.
We posed the question, and SKT provided the answers here. A very dominant game once again, but this time showing more of that killer instinct that you wanted to see. Playing aggressive. They are the ones dictating the pace of this game and not afraid to push in and try to close this one out very quickly.
And games like this are why I've always been very particular about my language around SK Telecom T1 at this tournament. They haven't been a fast team recently, but the way I described them on the opening of the show was a chameleon. They played all styles over the course of this roster, over the course of spring season, settled on most recently the slower style typified by the Azir and not a lot of rotation, but they can play fast as well. With a team this talented, how could they not?
Clid, Faker, and Teddy, all 0 deaths by the end of that game. You said they forced things around the Baron pit. It could have gotten sloppy, but it didn't. They recognized, importantly, how severe their lead was. They capitalized quickly, and this looks like a team now that going into those bigger games tomorrow, people can continue to have that faith in.
There's another version of this game where it ends up being a second Baron, where they don't take that fight because they understand, okay, we kind of overforced this. That TP is a bit of a blue. Not this version. This version is the version they wanted to show before that important battle against IG tomorrow.
Well, SKT closed out day 4 in style, and to give us a rundown of the game and break down the entirety of the day, let's send it over to MSI Cooldown.
Thank you, Captain Flowers, and welcome to MSI Cooldown, where I'm joined by Jake, Spawn Tiberi, and Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler to break down the action from the 4th day of group stage. First off, how you guys feeling? I know it's been an intense day.
What a day it has been.
Is that your real response?
That's my real response.
You're a lot more chipper today, Kobe. Have you regained some faith in North America?
Yeah, you know what? You hit rock bottom, you bounce back up. That's my philosophy.
All right, well, we're going to hope that they can keep bouncing because as an update, IG have now locked first seed. Congrats to them. I think no surprises to anyone. SKT and G2 have now also locked top 4. So essentially, there is 1 spot remaining. 3 teams are locked, but it's still a battle for that last spot in the knockout stage. And the Korean representatives join G2 and Invictus Gaming, meaning the number 4 seed will be fought over by Fongbu Buffalo, Flash Wolves, and Team Liquid. So it is in theory possible for us to have some crazy intense stakes as Fongbu Buffalo could make the last minute wild run. But Fongbu Buffalo, not who I'm interested about right now. I want to get your guys' impressions on the respective representatives of EU and NA, and I want to start on the side of G2. Spawn, you got to cast these games. I'm curious, what did you think of G2 today?
I thought that G2 had a pretty mixed bag, to be honest. I think that what we saw was that they were willing to throw down with both teams that they played against. But we saw, the controlled fashion and playing towards our win conditions in game number 1, and then kind of buying into the IG playstyle again with maybe a team comp that didn't necessarily fit it. And what I wanted to see was a little bit more of that control and, I guess, patience shown. And on the biggest test, which is IG, and don't get me wrong, they do seem quite unfallible at the moment, fell down a little bit for me, but still promising signs. I like the creativity of the final call to try and end the game. That call in particular did give me some hope for this team in a best of 5, even against IG.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching this game, even though, as you're pointing out, yes, there were some more tactical options that people were looking for G2 to opt into, the 1-3-1, Tom Kent's more side play, rather than so many of these skirmishes. But those skirmishes and those fights were incredibly well played by both sides, and they were super fun to watch. So I'm still glad that we got the game we did.
I understand the entire team running bot lane to try to end that felt pretty tactical to me.
Well, the thing is that it was a good play because they were capitalizing on the shy split push. And if you think back to the game, they actually did it a couple of times. One of the times they attacked him as he had walked over the wall, they got his flash, and they reset up the gank. So I think that's a great call. When Rookie stopped his channel, I actually thought for a split second there that they had won the game because it was a genuine 3v5. But, hats off to people like Ning and Jackie Love who just time and time again.
I was going to say I held it for like a good 5 seconds, and then I saw Jackie Love auto-attack someone with the Z convergence active. You're like, and we're all dead. We're all dead. I guess this is how we go out.
But it was close.
Nice run. It was close. And I think, are you in the same position where you're hopeful in the best of 5? Do you think G2 is going to be in a position to take games off?
I am. I'm super excited for that best of 5. If the best of 5 is filled with games like that, then that is going to be a treat.
Absolutely. On the opposite side, though, TL, not quite in the commanding performance that they were expected to be in coming into the tournament. We knew that they would be in battling for 4th. We just expected it to not be quite so close of a battle.
However, Game 1 was the game where you could see that this is a team that when the conditions line up and when they get that advantage, they are very good at closing out a clean game. And this, once again, poses so many questions for me about TL because when they had the comp, when they had the Tom Kench, when they had the bottom lane set up for success, I mean, Impact's playing well this tournament. They had so many promising signs.
Yeah, I think they kind of backed up what a lot of the other players were also saying about this team, Liquid. That was their fifth game in a row that they were able to take over Fangbu Buffalo. With their controlled style, they are able to definitely get these wins, over the teams that are below them. But then when matched with the ones above them like this in the Invictus Gaming series, just in the first 3 minutes, dying in mid lane, then dying bottom lane, then dying bottom lane again, that kind of is one of those your heart drops into the pit of your stomach moments. I still got hope again, though. Like you're saying, impact, if you're putting out a single player here for Team Liquid, coming in, making a big team play for them, and having this big resurgence for TL actually made me look forward to tomorrow. That's why I started the show a bit more happy, because I still am holding on to hope that they can take the game off of either G2 or SKT. I wouldn't favor them, in a best of 5 or something like that, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they beat either of these teams. And so I think that TL still have a shot to go up.
And I kind of started the day off questioning the resilience and then the adaptation of this Liquid lineup, because I thought that they looked a little bit dejected in their losses. I mean, they had lost 4 in a row coming in today. And then I was questioning, they were playing split push comps, but they weren't committing to the split push. Well, today we actually saw that they went back to supreme comfort and team fighting, even dropping their solo laners further down into the draft for protection around the control mages and team fight picks. And then they took it that step further. When they picked up the Nico, once again, it was a team fighter. They were a little bit late on some of the team fights, which is what I want to watch for going forward. But I think they've finally got an idea about how they want to approach the meta in this tournament. And that's a great place to go into the last day.
And for me, hearing that from a lot of people that Impact was going to be this huge weakness, I just kind of want to echo what you're saying there, Kobe, and that I've been very impressed. The Aatrox game versus Wonder, he obviously did very well, surprising us with the Nico pick. I was told this guy would literally live on tank duty forever, and that was the best thing that could happen. But he's
Gangplank.
Or Gangplank. And he's shown so much more. But now, as we go into tomorrow, Flash Wolves and TL feels like the ultimate question, PvP trailing. And as we look at the schedule coming up, I want to look at some of the key games, the games that are going to matter most in tomorrow's schedule for deciding who is actually going to advance in that 4th place spot. So, of course, the day kicks off with SK Telecom T1 and Team Liquid. These will be the final games of the group stage. So where are your guys' eyes at? Where do you see the good, easy wins for Team Liquid? Where do you see the difficult matchups? I know you've already talked a bit about it, Kobe, but what game are they going to take?
Well, there is no easy win for Team Liquid on the schedule. They are definitely both wins that they will have to work for. Difficult matches with SKT and G2, as I mentioned. But coming into this tournament, our goal for Team Liquid, as most people have them ranked 4th, was to be able to take games off of the teams ranked above them. SKT and G2 are the ones within striking distance. They get another shot at both of them. So I think that it is actually likely that they take one of those games.
What would you pick?
I would honestly actually take the G2 game.
Okay.
I think that there is that possibility, as we saw even where G2 have had throughout this tournament, where they themselves lose sight of what their win conditions are even. As same vein that Team Liquid, had split pushing, did not split push and started team fighting, similar thing happened. But that's not, I don't think, what most people are going to be looking at. It's the Flash Wolves versus Fangbu Buffalo, because if they lose that one, then Team Liquid, and even if Team Liquid lose both of their games, then that would give them the edge.
Yeah, it's a difficult spot to be in where it feels like to a certain degree you control your own destiny, but if you can't find those wins, then you are just put out and you're put in behind position. To round this discussion out, as we look forward, let's assume Team Liquid do make it in. Is this a team that you think gets stronger in a best of 5 against the likes of G2, of SKT? God forbid for their sake.
I gotta be honest, I don't think so.
I was going to say, because the thing that we're talking about a lot with this lineup is the inability to play the big 5 flex picks. And I don't think that playing, 5 games in a row on the same day, if it does go that far, makes that problem any easier. I do, however, think that you do have to trust in kind of the star players to have 1 or 2 of those moments in a series that can win you those games. And if they come early enough in the series, then, things like momentum become a big turning point. So the short answer to the question is no, I don't think this is a team that will push very far. But I think that, I do have some faith in people like, Doublelift and Core JJ to have some standout performances in games.
Yeah, and honestly, in the knockout stage, I expect them to be picked by IG. So you're asking me if Team Liquid's going to be stronger in the best of fives when they're playing a best of five versus IG.
So the best part is I think Spawn has a theory on this that I really love.
So IG, when they won Worlds, said that it didn't feel like they'd won Worlds because they hadn't gone through Faker. Now, I don't know whether this is Faker in best of ones or Faker in best of five. But I have a theory that potentially, and I don't know, like, most likely that the support staff of IG also think this is a dumb idea and tell them no. But I think that IG will want to go through SKT.
A special request by Rookie, and he's like, I need this. I have to beat Faker in this tournament in a best of five, so we're picking SKT. Is that what you're telling me?
That's my theory. Because, I mean, they're a team that you listen to all their interviews and they're about the fun, jovial games. And once again, I'm sure the support staff hates hearing that because even their coach was like, yeah, we need to clean up some of our errors. We look beatable at the moment. But
so you don't think the 2 games in group stage is going to be enough?
Yeah, I think. I reckon Rookie wants Faker.
Here's a follow-up. Do you think that Rookie is not confident enough in SKT that they could beat G2 if that's the other semifinal matchup?
I think that is a big question mark right now for SKT. I think that G2 has definitively shown that they are the better team. Now, the thing that we have to take into account is because we were both there, and I got very excited in 2016 when RNG looked unstoppable and SKT looked like they were falling apart, that SKT do ramp up as the tournament has gone on historically, but there's only so much plot armor can save you from, and right now, G2 look like a beast of a team.
Yep.
Absolute monsters. I'm so excited to see actually what the matchups will be, who people will select. It's going to be such an intense moment tomorrow as the standings shake out. But now for myself, the casters, and the entire broadcast crew, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for the conclusion of the MSI 2019 group stage. Good night.
If G2 Esports take down Flash Wolves right now, they will guarantee themselves a spot in the top 4 at MSI. Let's find out whether or not they can do it as they take on Flash Wolves here. Soul Shackles into stopwatch. Wily Death comes out, and G2 obliterate the first kill. Betty Chasers turns around, back into Perks. They trade 1 for 1. This is a slaughterhouse. G2 guarantee themselves a shot in the playoffs. The Devour Spit does come out, but some of the flash blown by Core JJ. Oh. What was that damage? Piercing arrow. Chain of Corruption starts to spread. Pallet's going to get locked down, and the Cataclysm comes out. Zeros will fall after. It's a double kill for Double Lift.
I thought you were tomulting me away.
He's also going to be around mid lane, but it's plenty of manpower coming for SKT, and that's all she wrote. This is popping off for SKT. Chelsea drops to Baker. It's 4 dead on the side of the Flash Wolves, and this could not go better. Finding the enemy jungler, Cliff's going to be onto the back line, able to find the damage onto Rather, going into the stopwatch, keeping himself alive, and the Flash Wolves are out of there.
They all chop. Dive. I'm alive. Yeah. Nice. Good shit.
On and a Gunther attack, but Alon's able to find the initiation. Ning's got the kick down onto Double Lift, who's going to be in some trouble, shy into multiple people. That's a slicing Maelstrom. Liquid not on the same page, and IG hits him with the whole damn book. Now trying to make this one happen. Teddy very low on mana here as Mel makes his way into the fight. Teddy's going to be taken very low, kept alive now by Mata, and what a save! That's the heroic entrance. Zeros gets away, Pallet will not, and SKT will clean this one up quick.
Is one with the shy.
His way to Mickey. Mickey will put some damage. There's good damage in apply. I did not expect that to happen. G2 Esports, have they bitten off more than they can chew? 1-2 quick kills. Perhaps trying to do a little bit back, but Jackie Love, Invictus Gaming, remain undefeated at MSI 2019.